Okay, just log into the computers. Don't get started on these yet. BYU.edu. BYU.edu. And then.
Yeah.
Here, let me just show this.
Aren't we all, look at the smiles on our faces.
So once you get to workday.byu.edu.
Or me, I'm gonna be at a wedding. Oh, cause like have a checklist of who can, like.
Right.
Let you go so you don't have to watch everything. It's like asking you to watch.
No, cause I got on and started with nice when you started. Thank you so much. I got it already. And then I was trying to go. Seriously. Right?
So once you get to workday.byu.edu, you're gonna go to this training drop down over here on the right. And then you should have an option for HR business partner and ops. So everybody just make sure you have that. If you don't worry, just let us know. We'll make sure you get added. We got one that doesn't have it. Okay. And what's your name? Jan Christensen. Okay. Jan Christensen does not have.
And so like we.
Anybody else not have it? I'm willing. All right. And then from here, go ahead and just click this button here to go to BYU Workday. And that should, I believe, just get you in through single sign-on.
I think you were already there.
Already there. Well, you work today. Click this button. Okay.
Charlene SSO.
Thank you.
And once you get into Workday, just go ahead and pause there. We just want to make sure everybody gets logged in. We're going to go through some slides and then we'll hop into Workday, but wanted to take the time at the beginning just to make sure everybody.
Yours.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, not there.
I'm training.
And then no HR.
Yes.
And then, and then SO or that, whatever that is.
SSO,
Yeah, whatever.
that might go back.
I need to go. There's my team.
So it's back to the inside, but there's morons that kind of on stage.
Okay, we're gonna hop back to my slide. It's fine. I clicked started. If you're still logging in, that is fine. So welcome everyone. This is our 5th session this week. So lucky you, we've had 4 other opportunities to practice this, so you guys get the best of the best. So we've had all of your colleagues in other colleges and divisions within the university here over this week doing the same content. So this is all for HR business partners and operations specialists. We know that y'all got some previews over the past couple of weeks. So now you actually get to get your hands on the system. which is super exciting. So this is part 1 of 5, which I know y'all are very excited about. So every week for the next 5 weeks at this time, what is today? Thursday, 8:30 to 12-ish. You'll be, you're not in this room, then in the Pebble room over in the Crabtree building, with somebody from our team watch through some HR content. So super excited y'all are here. Just by way of introductions, yes, sir.
Oh, you were just, I jumped again. I wondered what your name was.
Oh, yes, thank you. So I'm Tanya Gray. I am from Cognizant, which is BYU's Workday implementation partner. I live just north of Houston, Texas, which is why I say y'all a lot. And excited to be here. I've been part of the project since we started, which was spring of 2022, which is crazy. So super excited that we're towards the end and about to go live. I'm also here with Lauren. So Lauren's been walking around helping everyone, so I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lauren Smith. I'm also with Cognizant, but I was a BYU student, so super happy to be here helping with the trainings. Yeah, and I think we're gonna kind of switch back and forth.
Yes.
So I'll be around the room and then maybe up front as well. So let us know if you have any questions. I'm happy to help.
We have a couple of experts in the room, so we can start with Catherine.
Hi, I'm Catherine Hendricks. I'm managing the new staff and student recruiting office. Hopefully Misha's here because she really is the expert. I usually just defer to her. But I just wanted to explain a couple things about our office. You probably are familiar with the staff employment office. That's what we're currently called right now. And as we go live with Workday, we'll be called the staff and student recruiting office. Some differences. Right now, you've sent your employees to us to do I-9s, maybe some half-time salary reviews or some contracts. That's what we've taken care of, a lot of different employment transactions in our office. Going forward, we're only going to be doing recruiting, which is really exciting. For the first time, the university will have 5 full-time recruiters to help staff and student recruiting. You'll still continue to work with faculty for the faculty recruiting, but we're really excited to offer that to campus. We've never offered student recruiting before, so that's something new. And then also something different that we'll be doing is each recruiter will be staffing by industry. So you'll have, if you recruit IT and AV professionals, we have a specific recruiter to do that. I have Jen here. If you'll stand, Jennifer Tate. She's our new talent acquisition manager. She has years and years of recruiting and talent acquisition under her belt, and is especially good at hard to fill positions and creating ads and things like that for you. So she'll be doing all white collar professional jobs all over campus. We also will have 2 dedicated to student recruiting, and then our 5th is the blue collar trades recruiting. So super excited to work with you all in the future. And Workday has phenomenal recruiting features, which is why we went in this direction. So thank you.
Is it student employee recruiting?
Yeah.
And I think Jill, would you like to give a little intro?
I'm Jill Hacker. I work with helping support the faculty hiring. We have our COEs here, so Amy Eddington and Holly Gibson are also here. So we want to just get in with you guys and see how it's going to go. So we're excited to see what we're going to learn today.
Awesome. Awesome. And then Lindsay, did you want to say anything?
Good morning. Thank you guys for being here. Just a couple of things. Those who don't know who I am, I'm the one sending you all the emails. The emails, the Outlook invites, it's either me or one of my team. And we are just excited to have gotten to this point where you guys are here in person. Really quickly, I kind of want to do head count. I know we've got some friendly extra faces in the room, but I'm going to say some things maybe that don't mean so much. You guys are group 3, session F. We have 5 groups of HR trainings going on
every week for the next 5 weeks, just HR. So group 3, you guys should be fine arts. Here's fine arts. Nice, welcome. College of Humanities, so any department of humanities. Okay, got some everywhere. And then Family, Home, and Social Sciences. Awesome. Okay, you guys are a cohort as group 3. You will continue to see the same people every week for the next 5 weeks. And we encourage you guys to, sit back wherever you want, but just know that everyone is going through this together. You are a business partner. Raise your hands. 1, 2.
Raise your hand real high.
Can't hear you.
Business partners.
Oh, sorry. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Business partners. Okay, so you guys are like team captains for your college, okay?
Team.
If you guys in your cohort, in your unit, have questions about what you are, good place to start is your business partner. They're gonna love me for saying that. If they don't know, that's okay, but they will have the means of asking more questions. Everyone can email workday-training@byu.edu and we can get that to you. If you don't know who your business partner is, they're in the room, get to know them, but sit next to them. I know they only have 2 sides, but if there's any breaks, come and introduce yourself. This is going to be, again, your team captain for the next 5 weeks. We're hoping that you guys take time, not just in this training, but outside of this training, to work together. If there are people who are in your areas, your college, who are not able to attend this training time, we knew that was going to happen. It's inevitable to try and get 40, 41 people in the same meeting at the same time every week. They're not here. Please work with them to help catch them up. All of the materials that you are going to see today, including the recording of this meeting, will all be on the training hub. Who knows what the training hub is? Hey, a couple of you. If you guys came to previews a couple of weeks ago, 2 months ago, that's when we had previews. Or if you attended the collaborative information session last week on Wednesday. All less hands. Okay. If you were able to attend last week, there was a ton of information about being a collaborative unit. If you're wondering if you are a collaborative unit, if you're in this room, you're a collaborative unit. And that's how we organized the training on purpose, was so that any colleges were going to be grouped together because it's, we have the training tailored to you guys as a college. There's a lot of information on there. If you don't know what the training hub is, it's workday.byu.edu. It's that website you guys just pulled up, and it's that training tab. Don't have access to it yet. We're adding you. It takes a little bit of time. Of technology, right? It takes a few minutes for everything to sync. It'll get on there. Once you click on that training drop down, you'll see the HR business partners and ops training path. You'll select that. All of the resources that you're going to see today, the activity guides that you have on paper, the recordings of every single session, everything is on there. So if you guys want to revisit this, or someone who's not able to make it needs to catch up, everything is on there. There's a help link. There's the quick link to the Workday training tenant that you guys will be in. So you don't have to look at what the URL is and write it down. It's all on there. Okay, for those who missed last week's session, this is really small. I should really share this with you next week. Does this slide look familiar to a few of you? A little bit. Okay, I'm seeing some nodding of heads. Does anybody know what this is? Want to read the type of this one? It's a flow chart. Exactly. This is your service delivery model. It is a fancy way of saying when you guys are trying to support your individual college and you need help, who do you go to? Your business partner. But who does your business partner go to? They need to reach out to central HR, which is like Jill Hacker in the back with her team. They are made available through this process.
all of that on the training hub. Everything from last Wednesday, if you missed it, the recording, the slides, please review those. Staff meetings, it's a great time to bring those up. But it's how you're going to best be able to support your colleges. And that's what we're gonna work on here. And it's also what we're gonna prepare for the dress rehearsals in November. That is, that's okay, we keep talking. Any questions before we get started on? Oh, yeah.
Well, if we have an individual who can't make it to any of the training in person, I'm noticing there are some empty seats. Can they just come to another session and actually just get some hands-on experience as well as us like walking them through instead of them just going through the training portal?
We've had that question a lot. It's a complex answer. We will not always be in this computer lab. There are weeks where this is not available and we will have to be in the Pebble room. Anyone been in 415 of the Crabtree? Some of you guys, most of you. That one is limited space. We did try to optimize as much time as in here as possible. Sometimes there are some empty chairs. If they can't attend any of them, please let me know so that I can make sure that they get into another group that's very similar. But I just don't want to promise that there's going to be seats available. It's the only thing. But good question. But yeah, as you guys are working on any homework, please invite those people to work together on it so that they can get caught up. Business, last thing, promise, last thing. Business partners should have received a group chat in Teams invite from me yesterday. I'll look this way because that's where my business partners are. That has every HR business partner on campus in that group chat. It also has every COE lead. That's the centers of expertise. Those are the team captains of central HR. So if you have questions about recruiting, about the business processes, about why Workday was set up a certain way, be nice. But they are all in that same group chat. You can feel free to ask because most likely some other business partner has the same question. So that's a great place to go. I'm also on that. My students are on that. If you have questions about scheduling or people not making it or the training hub or access or anything like that, that's a good place to start. Okay. I think we're good.
All right.
I have
Yeah.
one more
Go for it.
important thing that I left off. So we're not going to be doing I-9s anymore in our office starting November 1st. And that'll be moving over to the Student Employment Office. And they'll be rebranded as the HR Operations Center for the Unified Models. But they're also, I don't know, are they considered a COE? Because all the I-9s will be done there for staff and student recruiting. So does that make sense?
In November.
November 1st, yeah.
The new office gonna be.
It'll be at what we know as student employment right now, but they'll be
Staying
called the HR Operations Center soon. Okay, thanks.
Will the signage be changed by then? I'm just thinking it'd be confusing. Well, November, I'm just thinking it'd be confusing for our faculty or staff to.
Communication about that timing, so.
Okay, I'm gonna do my best to project, but this room is large and the AC is on. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
was gonna ask a question about these changes. So we're changing the name of the place and we're changing who does what. Can we get a grid or chart of, I-9s are no longer through staff employment. They're now through HR operations. Here's the location. Because there's a lot of changes. Some of it's just a change in name, but
Sure.
you want to tell the person you're talking to the right name. Or
Yeah.
if they show up in an office and it's labeled something different, they're going to be
Right.
confused.
You're gonna have to pat, did you hear that, Catherine? You have to pass that to Catherine and Lindsay.
Going out to everybody about where you get all the information.
Well, no, I mean a chart. I don't want like random emails that tell me one and two things at a time, but a chart.
The communication will come with something visual.
Okay.
Great question. All right. And again, I'm gonna try to project, but please, just wave me down if you can't hear. So here's our agenda for the day. So if I didn't say this already, these 5 weeks are all gonna build upon each other. And we're really going through an entire employee life cycle. So we're starting from square one of some building blocks of Workday, but then also a vacant position and then posting a position so we can gather our candidates, recruit our candidates. We'll post that job, we'll post the job, we'll gather our candidates. Next week, we'll come back and we'll actually move candidates through the workflow. We'll eventually hire candidates. We'll come back and we'll talk through job changes, if you need to transfer someone, give somebody a comp change. I think week 4, we'll go into like talent performance, what I consider the fun stuff. Feedback, performance reviews, goal setting, all of that, all of that work that you would do with employees, of course, while they're, in their tenure here. And then week 5, I think we'll finish up some of that and we'll end with termination. So really going from start to finish of that employee life cycle. But with that, the activities build upon each other. So this week, we're going to be in Workday. We're going to create a job requisition. We're going to post a job, and we're actually going to go in and apply as a candidate. So we want to make sure that we get through all of those activities, whether they be in here or as homework, because next week, you're going to hire that candidate that you apply as. So super fun. To kind of just get to see I think it's fun. Maybe I'm a nerd, but I think it's fun to see all the processes kind of build upon each other. So here's our agenda for today. We'll start with just some basic Workday information, basic navigation, core concepts. Then we'll jump into recruiting. We'll talk about job requisitions, our career sites, and then eventually you'll get to actually apply as an applicant. Safe harbor, we say this all the time. Things are subject to change. Now at this stage in the game, we're almost to October and we go live end of December. So what you see in Workday is going to be very, I would say 99.9% what you're going to see when we go live. Now, the one thing that is going to change as you get into Workday, this tenant that we're in, this Workday training environment that we're in, the data that's in there, the employee data that's in there is from April. Right, we pulled that data in April. So the configuration is accurate, right? The business processes are accurate. Security hopefully is accurate, but you might see students that worked last spring that are still reporting to you or reporting to your faculty, right? Again, don't worry about that. We're taking a full, fresh, new cycle of data before we go live in December. So everything should be accurate when we go live. But right now, you're probably going to see people who have been terminated. You're going to see maybe if you have changed jobs, you're still in your old job. If you have, updated your benefits or changed your name or things like changed your address, all of that will be old. So just don't worry about that. Just kind of focus a little bit more today on the actual process. Just some notes. Some of this we've already kind of talked about. You're really focusing today on your role as an HR business partner or operations specialist. Shameless plug, right? Monday, you're going to get an email about our end user training. So, when we say end user training, we're talking about the average Joe, right? Student, employee, staff member, faculty member, people who are not in this room, right? You all have special security within HR to perform HR functions. So the email that you'll get on Monday with links to different trainings are for employee self-service, manager self-service, how to go and update your name or update your contact information. So today we're really focusing on your role as an HR business partner or ops specialist. Something that you might see depending on your division, depending on how you're structured. One of the first things we're going to do is take a look at the employees that you support, right? So you will have security, again, either as a business partner or an ops specialist to perform actions on certain employees. Now, what you see might be way more than you think you're actually going to support because of the way security is built. So you might see that you support, 10 different departments, but really you probably only support a subset of that. That's all discussion that you can have internally, right? So, maybe one person is going to take these 3 departments, one person's going to take these 3, one person's going to take these 3. So those are kind of more of the discussions you'll want to have before you come to the service delivery model dress rehearsal, which is in November. So more information to come about that. And that's it. Already touched on the other 2. last thing we'll say, just kind of for housekeeping purposes. So as you can imagine, today we're still in PeopleSoft, right? And December, 21st, we'll go live with Workday. So there's going to be a transition period where we've got to finish up tasks in PeopleSoft, start tasks in Workday. We want to make sure nothing is missed. So there are certain processes that will need to be frozen, right? That we'll need to say, okay, no more, whatever it might be, comp changes, no more hires, no more terminations at a certain point, so that we can take all of that data and get it into Workday and not miss anything in between. So look out for emails. There will be very, very specific communication on that coming over the next couple of weeks and couple of months. Okay, we've already talked about this. Oh, the other thing, hopefully everybody has a notebook and an activity guide. We printed them off for you all. If you want an electronic copy, they are on the training hub. So that workday.byu.edu site, if you want an electronic copy, it's already out there. This deck, this PowerPoint presentation will be out there probably end of day tomorrow, as well as the recordings of these sessions. So all of this will be out there. Of course, feel free to take notes, but don't feel like you need to frantically take notes or take pictures of slides on the screen unless you want to. All right, so the recruit to hire interview. So again, today we're starting out with positions. We're going to talk about our job catalog, job requisitions, all the way through posting. Next week, we'll talk about candidate management, kind of how you are going to move candidates through the life cycle, all the way through hire and onboarding. So obviously a lot goes into this process. So that's why 2 whole weeks really is focused on the recruit to hire before we get into more of the employee management pieces. All right. Any questions before we dig in? Also, probably goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway, so no one's nervous. We are in a training environment, so you are going to see fake people. I'm going to be logged in as a fake person. We've got Cosmo Cougar, who is now one of my employees. You're going to see a lot of fake data. You can terminate people. You can give people comp changes. You can transfer people. Nothing will ever affect the live system. So just say another safe harbor. So Workday homepage. So first, by show of hands, who has actually physically been in Workday, done anything kind of playing around? Oh, good. Wonderful. Okay. So just want to kind of go through some pieces of your homepage. Again, this is just basic navigation. This is essential for everyone. You've got your navigation menu on the upper left-hand side. This will show you all of the dashboards and applications that you have available to you. So this is really where you can, kind of how you can navigate through Workday to find the reports or the tasks that you'll need to complete. The BYU logo up in the upper left-hand side. Anytime you're in Workday and you need to come back to your home page, so this home screen, you'll just click the BYU logo. The search bar is up in the middle, and this is super robust. I kind of think of it like Google. You can type in the name of a task, the name of a report, the name of a person, anything that you're trying to find in Workday, and you should be able to get results based on your security. So that's key, right? So what one person types in and is able to find might be different than what someone else types in and is able to find, again, all based on security. Over on the upper right, you've got your notification. So that's the little bell icon. Anything that comes to your notifications is just an FYI. So it's nothing you need to act upon. It's just kind of like an email. Hey, this happened, or hey, this employee was hired, or this comp change has been approved. So FYI, no need to act upon it. Versus your inbox or my tasks is actually where there are items that you are going to need to act upon. So this is where anything that needs to occur, anything that you as a business partner and ops specialist need to review or approve or provide input on, it'll always come to your My Task. Workday used to call it the inbox. I still call it the inbox. It looks like an inbox. Most of these, if not all of them, you should also receive email notifications for in Outlook, and then you can link directly to Workday. And then in the upper right-hand corner, I know it's small on these screens, but if upper right-hand corner would be your photo. And you can click on that and access your profile. Your profile has a lot of information, well, really all information about you as an employee. And then you, in your role in HR, will be able to access other employees' profiles as well. All of this we're going to demo in Workday in just a minute. Yeah.
I just was wondering about the consolidation. For example, right now, if I've got some outstanding purchase requisitions or marketplace orders to approve, there's a a place that I can click and I can see everything that's outstanding that needs to be done. Will everything be consolidated into that My Task, the
Yep.
financial and HR?
Everything. Anything you need to do in Workday will be right there. Yep. Oh,
Including Chrome River transactions,
no, Chrome River is still gonna, well, Chrome River is going away. Thank you.
but
Yeah.
the equivalent.
Equivalent. Yeah, expense. Yep. All your travel and expense will be here as well. Yeah.
Like I said, we need a.
All right, so then we've got kind of the center screen of your Workday homepage, inbox preview. So things that are that have come in right away will show up right in the middle. So be right there when you open up Workday for you to act upon. Delivered task suggestions. So this is pretty cool. I'm a manager within my role at Cognizant, and so sometimes I will get some suggestions of, hey, you have a team member with upcoming absences, just FYI, if you need to reach out to them about anything. If I have a team member who has a birthday coming up, I get a little notification in my timely suggestion saying that I have a team member with a birthday coming up. So again, it uses a little bit of machine learning to kind of look through, your team or your different tasks and give you some updates right in the middle of things that you might need to act upon. And then over on the right, you've got your quick tasks up in the top and then down your top application. So this is configurable for you. I can show you how to do that. And again, you can go to your upper left-hand navigation menu to access all of your applications. But if you know there are 4 that you use all the time, you can configure that so they show up on your homepage, which is pretty cool. And then the top section, quick tasks, again, that uses a little bit of machine learning on the back end to say, okay, these are things you click on all the time. So I'm just going to put them right here for you. All right. So My Tasks. So again, everything requiring your action will appear here. This also contains your archive tab. We're going to use that a lot. We're going to use it a lot today. You're going to use it a lot going forward. This shows a history of actions that you've completed. So both things that have come through your inbox that you've approved or acted upon, or transactions that you've initiated. It allows you to see the history of it. So what steps have been completed and where is it currently sitting? So if something, maybe you initiated it and then it went somewhere for approval and you're kind of waiting, hey, where did that go? How, who's it waiting on? You can look in your archive tab and essentially see where it's held up, right? Whose desk is it sitting on? Which is pretty cool. And end users, anybody can do this. Anybody who initiates a task in Workday can go in their archive tab to see where it's currently sitting. Related actions. So this is affectionately called the Twinkie because it looks like a Twinkie. This is a icon or a button that appears next to any object in Workday. Objects can be candidates, employees, organizations. Objects is just a fancy Workday term related to just something you can click on, right? So like Cosmo Cougar, it's blue, hyperlinked. You could click on that and then you've got the related actions next to it. Yes, did you have a question?
So I was just gonna ask, where are you? Because I'm not seeing that, but
We're just doing slides right now. We'll go into the demo in a little bit, yeah. So the related actions will provide additional actions to take. So again, based on security, you can click the related actions and you might be able to perform specific actions on that employee or on that organization. And again, I'll hop in here in just a minute and show you how to do this. All right. So here we go. Let me go ahead and hop into Workday. My mouse works. All right, and you're welcome to follow along. We're going to go through a couple of the activities in your activity guide. I'm just getting in as my fake HR business partner. Okay. I am in Workday as Harper HR. She is my wonderful fictional HR business partner. She's also, I mean, she's a business partner, she's a comp partner, she's kind of all the things. So again, if you're, looking at my screen and saying, oh, it might, things look slightly different on mine than they do on yours, that's totally fine because she just kind of has all the security. So just going through quickly what we just reviewed on that slide, I've got my menu up here. This has all of the different applications that I can use in my role. This is our home button, so I can be anywhere in Workday. Let's just go to my profile really quick. I can be anywhere in Workday. We'll come back to this in just a minute, and then I can click this BYU icon and it'll come right back to my homepage. Search bar right up here in the top. So if I click in this and I type, I'm just going to type create job requisition. That's something that we're going to do later on today. Even just type create job rec. Really, you only need 3 letters, and it's going to kind of predict what you think or what it thinks you're going to search for. Again, similar to Google. Here are all of the different tasks and reports that I have access to. So a lot of different ways. I mean, Workday is great in a sense that there are 5 different ways to get to one thing, right? And you all get to kind of choose how you like to navigate within Workday. We're going to show you what we think are the simple ways, but again, you can. Once you get familiar with Workday, you can kind of decide how you want to navigate. Over here, we've got your notifications. So again, the bell icon, these are just FYIs. This one is just saying, hey, you have a Workday account now. So as Harper HR, I was hired 15 days ago. I've learned a lot in my 15 days. And then this next one here is your inbox. So my inbox is empty, which is great. So I've cleared out all of my tasks. If I had any tasks, they would all appear here, and I would also have the number, right? The little, the number, the red number telling me how many tasks I had awaiting my action. This is your archive tab here. We'll talk about that a little bit more later when we get into some processes. We'll actually, show you how to use the archive tab and what it can be used for. And then, of course, I've got, there's nothing awaiting my action because I'm all caught up. These are those timely suggestions. So just, hey, you might want to update your contact information. It's been a while since you've updated it. And then those quick tasks, and then my top applications. So again, homepage, don't worry about what these icons are on the left. If you have them, you might not have them. These are all related to recruiting, and we'll talk about that more next week. I'm going to just show you my profile now. I'm going to go over to my Harper HR photo. I'm going to click view profile. So this is all of my basic employee data, right? So I've got, if you look over on the left and you click more, kind of look through all of these tabs. We're not going to click through all of them, or I'm not going to click through all of them. You're welcome to click through on your own profile, whatever you want to take a look at. This has all of my job details, right? So what's my position? What has my work history been while I'm here at BYU? Benefits information, any absence related information, pay, my comp history. And then if you go all the way down to the bottom is more on that talent, performance, feedback, my goals. So really you can almost think of your profile as like your HR record, right? This is like your HR file. If you remember, I mean, when I started, which I don't feel like I'm that old, but I started working in HR in 2009, and we still had a paper file room with paper files. This is kind of like your HR file, right? This has your employment information, your comp information, pay, all of that great information that makes up your employee record. From here, I can get directly to the org chart. And I personally think the org chart is one of Workday's best features. So if I click this team icon right here and right below my photo, this is going to take me to a visual org chart. I am personally a visual person, so I love to see the org chart. Who reports to who, and kind of how is everything structured within BYU. Wow, mine's going quite slow. So when I click on the org chart, I'm going to, I'm going to minimize this just a little bit so I can get a little bit more. There we go. Tap down. Okay. So here is me, right? I am Harper HR. I report to Max Manager. Okay, so Max Manager is my direct manager. The number here that's circled, if you can read that, that says 24. That means Max Manager has 24 direct reports. So if I scroll down, I see all of the individuals or vacant positions, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit, that report to Max Manager. So Max has 24 positions that report to him. Some might be filled, some might be unfilled. Okay. So Lightning McQueen, Mickey Mouse, Snow White, they all report to Max Manager. If you scroll up, then you can continue to go up the org chart, right? So Max Manager and his peer, who is also named Max Manager, not to be confusing, they both report to Sloan Senior Leader. And not sure what's going on. This happened a couple days ago too. This tenant's just going a little slow. So Max Manager and his buddy, Max Manager, and again, right, you would not see this in the live system. We just have two different fake training organizations that we've been using. They both report to Sloan Senior Leader. If you scroll up a little bit more, Sloan Senior Leader and his peers all report to Mikilani, and so on and so forth. So again, we're in a training environment. Things are going to look a little different than they will in the live system, but you get the point, right? That this is really how you can see the entire organization. You can, from here, if I go to, scroll down, if I just click on Max Manager, I'm going to go directly to his profile. So play around with that when we get into the system and go through the activity. And just remember, what you see on your own profile is going to be a lot, right? You get to see everything. It's you. You can see your social security number, you can see your birth date, you can see all of that personal data, your comp, your pay. What you see on another employee is going to be a little bit different. Now, you all are HR professionals, so you will see a lot more than, you know, the average Hamby campus employee. But still, there are certain things that you'll be able to see on those people that you support versus maybe the people that you don't support. All right, last thing, what I realized I missed, related actions. So if you hover over any of the blue hyperlinks, I like to use the phrase, I can't take credit for it, but we affectionately say in Workday, if it's blue, you can do. So if it's blue and hyperlinked, you can of course click on it. You can also just hover, and that's where you'll get the related actions. When you click the related actions, it's going to show you any actions that you can take on that particular object. So for Sloan Senior Leader, I have a lot of access again, because I'm kind of all powerful within our fake tenant. I can, request comp changes on him. I can do, initiate transfers, initiate terminations, all from that related actions button. There are also a lot of other ways to get to those same tasks. This is just, again, one way that you could get there. All right. Questions on anything we just went over? Yeah.
How do you get back to the level above Max Manager, back to where you were?
Yep. So I would just go back to a lot of different ways, but I would just go back to the team right here, the org chart.
Okay.
Yes. I'm so sorry. This is not, the fact that this is going so slow is a little. So I just went back to the org chart. I can scroll down and then, I would click Harper HR. I also, since that's me, I could also just go up here to my profile photo and go view profile and go back to me. Any other questions? Now, did everybody do that with me, or do you want to take a minute to do it on your own? Take a minute. Okay, I'm going to take, let's take just a minute. So we are on, if you look at your activity guide, we're on the first page, general navigation. So we're going to do, I can go back to my slides, 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3. And then just raise your hand or holler, and one of us will come help if you have any questions.
It's like crazy. So, like, because it has to be right. So you get just
Yes, ma'am.
so and this solution is just so easy. And like Ruth is all the way down here. Like it's just really and it's in different place. You know, your be would that make sense then, or is there some sort of
No,
process? Called
Yep, there's a process that when you're on I assume there's themselves. But
just feels weird.
yeah, there's a way that you can like upload a spreadsheet. Again, I don't think anybody in this room can do it. I think it's more like on the C-suite. But yeah, there's probably a process there, I would assume.
You can't say it's highly supportive. Can't.
I would think so.
Yes.
Of course, yep. So, yeah, I would think we can upload them.
Yeah. Yeah. I just thought it was weird. Yeah, that's just crazy.
It's going okay.
That's team.
She's
I wonder why they have. Who organized this? Who organized this? Yeah.
Fine.
Summary. I wonder if it's by. Her ID numbers. I just thought. Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah.
Yeah. And that was it.
Yeah. But some things are right. Shows my eyes never.
Yeah.
So there's 10 months and 13 days, and that's right. So, yeah, no.
How's everyone doing? Are we getting through it? Yeah, we're only on the first page so far. No. So we're just doing 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3. And I think I'm gonna start moving forward in like 30 seconds. Is that okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
But you never hit the back, like the back button. You don't have hour to. Like this back button. So it alphabetizes my first name if they have six words in it. If you don't have to remember words, then it's off again. But not fixing it. Hey, it does not.
So we're gonna keep going. We're still kind of on some Workday basic information. Now we're gonna talk about some core concepts that are really, really pertinent in your role as an HR professional
Like
within
that's
Workday. So we're gonna talk about organizations, position management, security roles, and business processes. So first, organization. So Workday loves organizations, and at its core, this is simply a way to group employees. We're organizing workers into groups, serve a common purpose. This is really representative of how BYU is structured. And again, they're used all across Workday. The most important organization, and don't tell our finance friends this because they might argue with me. But what I think the most important organization is our supervisory organization. So this represents our who reports to whom structure. So this is essentially an org chart. It's what we just looked at when we were in Workday at the org chart. This does not have like a one-to-one relationship with a department. Although that's, that might seem intuitive, that might seem like what it would be, it's not, right? Every organization is made up of individuals that report to one manager. So there could be multiple supervisory organizations in what you would consider a department, right? So for example, I, as Harper HR, let's say I have 3 people that report to me. Those 3 people that report to me, they are a supervisory organization. They are Harper HR's supervisory organization. Okay. Now, me at Harper HR, I'm not in that supervisory organization. I'm in a supervisory organization with my peers. So if me and 2 other people, or 4 other, or 50 other, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to say 2 for simplicity's sake. Me and 2 others, if we all report to one manager, let's say we report to Mac's manager, the 3 of us are in our own supervisory organization, right? Now Max is not in ours, right? Max is in his own supervisory organization, and so on and so forth. Okay. So super, super important, because this is really what drives security. So I mentioned earlier that you all will have security to act upon individuals in specific supervisory organizations. That's how your security is built. You're assigned to a manager, right? And that gives you security to everybody within all of those supervisory organizations, right? Whether it's just one manager and 2 people and then it stops, or one manager, then 3 managers, then all of their direct reports, all of their direct reports, and so on and so forth. So everyone is a member of a supervisory organization, and you're only a member of one, right? Now, technically, it's a hierarchy, right? Because it's an org chart, so we're all members of, a ton, all the way up to our president, right? But technically, you are a member of just that one supervisory organization that's owned by your manager. Make sense?
I was looking at mine, and some students who work in the lab are in the same level supervisory organization as me and the other professors. I don't know if that's just a hiccup or because they should really be underneath in my mind, they should be underneath someone else.
Yeah, so again, the data might be, it's from April, so yes, but that's a good point. So it is truly your direct manager. So somebody asked in another session, are there dotted line managers?
Yeah.
There might be kind of internally, like I report to this person, but I really report to this person. Within Workday, that is not depicted. So it's truly whatever you're going to see in those org charts in terms of their supervisory organization is who approves my time, who approves my absence requests, who is my, it's my direct manager. So in which case it might be a professor, right? I think that's probably common. But again, don't worry about the actual data that's in there right now. Cost centers, also super, super important. This was my joke about don't tell our finance friends because they probably think cost centers are most important. But of course, very, very important. This is where the money is. This is how we group financial transactions, budgets, and our workers, right? Every worker is part of a cost center, right? That's where your position money comes from, right? We're going to take a look in Workday in just a minute. You'll see all the different organizations that you are a part of. Cost centers, of course, is super important. Supervisory organizations, super important. You'll also see others. So locations is another one, and this is just core and foundational to Workday. For other organizations, so for BYU, this is pretty simple because for the most part, you all work here, right? You all work at the BYU main general campus. Now, that's not 100% true, right? You also have FSY, right? That could be kind of out of state. You do have other locations that are going to be in Workday, but for the most part, you all are BYU general campus. Now, other organizations that use Workday, right? Because we've got thousands and thousands of organizations that use Workday. Other organizations, they could be global, right? So I need to know all of the employees that work in China or all of the employees that work in the state of Washington, right? It has tax implications, it has legal implications, right? So locations are very, very core to Workday. Just know that at BYU, it's a little more simple because most of you work here. All right. So position management, so that was organization. We're going to go through 4 core concepts. And this is not the only time we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about organizations over and over and over and over today. So if it's still a little fuzzy, that's okay. Position management, we're also going to talk about this a lot. So, and this is different. This is a change to how you might think about positions today. So when I mentioned the supervisory organization, so Max Manager, let's see, Max Manager is my manager, which he is in Workday. Max Manager had that 24 number, right? So he has 24 positions that report to him. So we like to think about positions as chairs. So if you think about a table, Max Manager has 24 chairs around that table, 24 positions. So some of them are filled, right? I, as Harper HR, I fill a seat. I fill one of those positions. A few of them are open. So even those open positions are still showing up in Max Manager's org, right? Because they still report to him, even though they're vacant. Every individual at BYU, every employee, whether they're a student, faculty, adjunct, part-time, full-time, staff, whatever it might be, every employee is going to have their own position, their own seat. Okay, so I think that's the part that's a little bit different. I think you do some position management today, but in other cases, you might have multiple people in one position. Each employee has an individual position that has a job profile attached to it, and then of course a position number and position details. We'll talk about that in just a minute. So what's really cool about position management, again, if you think about the table analogy and those open seats, when we build out positions, so let's say my position is Harper HR. My position says that it has security attached to it, right? It says that I am an HR business partner for a certain organization or multiple organizations. My position is a full-time position. My position is here at the BYU Central Campus. My position has a specific compensation grade, right? It has a range, the HR business partner, my position has a compensation grade and a range that typically, my pay would be in between. My position has a management level, right? What's my, do I manage people? Do I not manage people? Okay. That is all just, that's core to the position, and it doesn't change based on who is in that position, right? The security on it doesn't change, the management level, the pay grade, that range. Now, me as Harper HR, I have specific position data. So I filled that seat, I filled that position. I have my own person data, right? My personal and contact information, my performance related information, my goals, my talent related information, my history, right? My worker history here at BYU. How have I moved around? My compensation, right? So the position has a comp grade that has a range, but me personally, I have my own comp number, right? That's based on my resume, my years of experience, etc. So position data is really independent from person data. That makes sense? So what this does, what like the benefit that this gives BYU is that, you know, here's my Harper or my, I'm sorry, my HR business partner position, that seat at the table. I win the lottery and I leave tomorrow. Well, that position is still there with all of that security attached to it, all of that position related information, so that when somebody else comes, they fill that seat and they have that security access, they have that, all that position related information. Now they have their person information, of course, that they're gonna keep on them and it's gonna move with them as they move around at BYU. But that position information, we don't have to go back in and create a brand new position for the new Harper HR. Good so far? All right. Security is also very, very important in Workday. So this drives what you can see, what you can do. Again, we've already talked about this a little bit. We'll continue to talk about it. We talked about it as it relates to the position. So the HR business partner security role is on that position. So all we got to do is hire somebody into it. I don't know if you, so I come from a PeopleSoft background. I helped implement PeopleSoft at a college in Texas way back when I started my career. And I remember the hassle of getting security for an individual. You'd hire a person, then you send an email to the security team saying, you got to copy this person's security. Oh, but not all of it, because they also need this security and we need to make sure we get this security as well. And when you transfer positions, getting your security adjusted when you transfer into new roles, such a hassle. We don't have that with Workday because it's already attached to the position. All you gotta do is hire somebody in, they automatically have that security. Two ways that you'll want to think about security as well. So in your role as an HR, either business partner or ops specialist, the role of HR business partner, I'm just going to use that, but it's same as ops specialist, right? It's essentially universal across this room, across the 170 some odd people that we have coming to training in terms of what you can do, right? You all can initiate terminations. You all can initiate job changes. You all can create job requisitions, or so on and so forth. So that's pretty universal. Now, where it gets a little bit different for individuals in this room and then in all of the other groups that we've been training is who you can act upon, right? So again, that goes back to your organization chart, right? So somebody in what do we have in here? Life sciences, and no, who do we have? Fine arts, and we have humanities. Okay, so somebody in fine arts cannot terminate somebody in humanities, right? They can only terminate people in their org or transfer or initiate a comp change or whatever it might be, right? So security kind of goes both ways. It really drives the transactions you can perform. It also drives who you can perform those transactions upon. What if you don't have security? So again, the people that you support in this current Workday system might look a little funky just simply because we probably have people that are still in there that, like your students from spring of 2024 and they've graduated, right? So that things like that, don't worry about. Now, if you get in there and you say, well, I work in life sciences, but these are all humanities organizations. Well, that we do want to know about, right? Because you should be supporting people in life sciences. Now, if you see that you're supporting a ton of people in life sciences and you don't think you're supporting that many people, that's okay. Because remember, I was saying you might have all of this, all of these different orgs, but internally you'll need to kind of decide, okay, John does these orgs, Sally does these orgs, Susie does these orgs, right? So don't worry about that part. But if it's looking real wonky, we do want to know about that. We don't have the QR code, do we? Did we forget that again? We have a QR code in the other room. What did we do yesterday, Lauren? Just write your name. Okay. So once we get in the tenant, we're going to pull some reports that'll show you the orgs you support. And again, if things are looking real wonky, or if you don't have any security at all, you can't do things, then we'll just come around. We'll jot your name down and we'll let Lindsay know. All right, so now I'm going to get in and I'm going to show you a couple reports that you can pull to see the workers that you support, the different organizations that you support. Again, you can follow along with me, or you can wait. We'll take a couple minutes and complete this activity, or we'll give you time to complete this activity. My screen a little bit. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is view the organizations you belong to. Okay, so I'm gonna go to my profile. I'll click View Profile. And over on the left, I'm gonna click this Job tab. And then this tab right up here that says Organizations. Mine is only showing my supervisory organization, but yours will show a lot. And that's simply because, again, for training purposes, we just hired her in, we didn't really give her anything else. So this goes back to that first core concept we were talking about. You should all see your supervisory organization, which again, don't tell, but it's the most important. But you also will see your cost center. You will see your location organization. You will probably see other organizations as well. You'll see kind of a long list. Okay, so again, this is simply at its core, it's a way to group employees within Workday. Supervisory organization and cost centers are the ones you are going to use the most. You can also go over to the right. So we're on the organizations tab. If you go to the right and click support roles, this is who supports you. So if you look on the left, that assignable role. So some of these, you know, I even personally, I'm not sure exactly what their role might be in supporting you, but comp partner, right? Like I believe most of those are your comp COE members. HR business partner, right? If you wanted to know who is my HR business partner, those names are listed there. Who is my HR operations specialist? Of course, who's my manager? You should obviously know that too. So this is telling me as Harper HR who supports me for different activities within BYU. All right, so that's all about me, the orgs that I'm in, the people who support me. Now I want to know, who do I support? So I'm going to go, I'm just going to click the BYU logo, go back to the home screen, and now we're going to run two different reports. The first one is called My Supporting Roles. So I'm going to use the search bar and I'm going to type in My Supporting Roles and hit enter. And it's this first report that pulls up here. So My Supporting Roles is going to show me all of the organizations that I support in my HR business partner role. So let me explain kind of how to read this report. So again, if you look all the way over on the right, organization roles I fulfill, mine says HR business partner, yours says either HR business partner or ops specialist or manager. And then over here, role 4, this is the supervisory organization, okay? So every supervisory organization also has a name. These names probably make a lot more sense to you than they do to me. But what I kind of hone in on is the name that's in the parentheses. That's the manager, right? So this is Victor's supervisory organization. This is Michelle's supervisory organization. This is Mark's supervisory organization. This is telling me I am HR business partner for everybody in Mark's org, everybody in David Smith's org, Kevin's org, right? I have a ton because I think I'm like at the top level, so I support everybody. You hopefully don't have 921 orgs. Yes.
So for the next 5 weeks, should this be correct or is this based on?
Based on April, yep, yep.
The top three by.
Exactly, exactly, yep, yep.
17.
Okay. So I'm going to run one more report and then we'll walk around. We can answer any questions. So this one is showing me orgs I support. I personally like this other one better because it shows me workers I support. I actually get employee names. So if you type up here, workers I support. Now, I typed in workers I support and my screen looks like this. It's pulling up to me what looks like some random employees.
It was just nice.
Okay, so listen up to get this question a lot. Workday at its core is thinks that when you type something into the search bar, you are looking for a person. It just thinks that you, if you're typing anything in, the first thing that it thinks you're going to try to search for is a person. So if you look over on the left, these are your search categories. So you can see people is that top one. So that's why it's because at the very beginning, whatever you type in, it's going to try to find a person or people that have some kind of connection to whatever you're typing in that search bar. So if you are getting people like me, you can click this link that says tasks and reports, and that'll just give you tasks and reports that are based on whatever you put in the search bar. So when I click workers I support, the first thing it's going to do is ask you to select your role. So if you click in that search bar, and then down here at the bottom, select my roles, it'll give you your options. Yours might only have one option, might say either HR business partner or HR ops specialist. Might also say manager if you're a manager. Mine says primary recruiter, which we'll talk about later when we get into recruiting.
Because.
Did you get there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're completely
Review
lost.
that.
So workers I support.
What's that?
And then it's.
But it's like the report, it's not giving me that option.
Yep, so did you select tasks and reports over here?
I don't see that many.
It doesn't come up as an option.
Okay. So can we break for the activity? So this is just a demo for now. Let me finish up this demo and then we'll break for an activity, okay? So workers I support. Select your role. So again, go ahead and I'm going to select HR business partner. You can select ops specialist, whatever you have in that dropdown, and then click OK.
Yeah.
And this is going to pull, essentially it's the same data as orgs I support, but now I get all of the employee names. Okay. So I get the worker, which would be the name of the employee, and then the supervisory organization that they are in. Again, I am like up at the top level of BYU supporting everybody. So that's why I have 24,000 employees I support. Hopefully you don't have that many. But again, it's going to show you all of the names of the individuals in the supervisory organizations that you support.
So if you want to sort that data to say, okay, I don't want to see everything, I want to see what's in music.
Exactly.
that.
Yep.
Would I just pull it down in Excel?
So you can, but you also, if you just come to the top, this like gray, so I'm just going to search by supervisory organization. So in this report, if I just click up here in the header, then you can filter. Yep. Yep. So you can put it like in under value, you can just type in a manager's name just to see everybody in their org or yeah, however you want to sort it. Okay, so now we're on page 2, organizations and jobs. So we're going to do 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, and 1.7. We're going to take just a couple minutes.
No, yeah, she.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. Yeah. Why? Why?
So that you can.
So do I? Right. So what else is the same?
They don't even know.
Cool. People who work there.
Sorry. See, I get new piece.
Down there, coming everything. Oh, I should. I don't say. Not this one, that's that.
Got it.
Okay.
That's
What I'm wondering is about what's the big of the one.
Right now, I.
You're gonna see a lot of things now. And in the future, but what you will see, you'll be seeing. You'll have access to these, yeah, but there is something, you're just looking for. Right. But, I was much as those. TA. Is that, that's. What kinds of issues? Okay, okay. So. But we can we're to DNA, but it's not. So you were there, and then we're gonna go home the first day.
So. The answer is yes.
There's.
Yeah, we were just talking.
Process to be very similar.
Oh,
There will be.
He's running it, yeah, so Michaela and I run it. I'm gonna leave it to Trish, please.
You're an HR manager. Yeah, and you can do anything that anybody else can do, so. Well, unless they change. But it was. Business managers are the finance managers, and then somebody that.
I do.
Is an ops specialist, it's like your ops team, like they've got an ops team, but there's gotta be somebody to manage that. And that's you, you're the operation.
I just amazing, I'm like, I don't know where to go sit. One way out to do like.
It sounds from what I'm like.
Yeah.
But everything.
I mean, actually have a level that's not quite high enough. So go ahead.
Oh, it's just like, if you people think they're actually.
Or in. But I mean, like, it's like at a way lower level and it's probably higher. Yeah, like maybe.
Five. Oh, yeah. So, and it's for the girls only, because they were requiring a certain level of position to be able to do approvals to look. That's mostly what it is. It's mostly to review and make sure that the chart. Looks right.
Okay, for sake of time, I do want to make sure we get through all the content today. So I am going to keep going. We'll have, again, if we didn't get around to your questions, again, we'll have a lot of other opportunities to break for activities, so. Want to make sure your questions are answered, or at least jotted down before we leave today. So the next core concept, we'll talk about business processes. I've already kind of touched about this a little bit, and we'll see this in action in Workday. So I consider this one of Workday's like best powerhouse features, right? So there are hundreds of business processes in Workday. A business process has an initiator, right? So I'm going to go in and initiate a termination. I don't know why I keep using terminate. It's so negative, but it's just a very straightforward process, right? I'm going to initiate a termination. Let's say we're terminating somebody because they won the lottery and they're just doing wonderful. I'm going to initiate that termination and it's going to route somewhere, right? So a business process has an initiation step and then it goes somewhere, right? So it might go somewhere for approval. It might go somewhere, there might be a pay implication. So it needs to go to payroll. It might need to go to the compensation department. It might need to go to the benefits department, right? So within Workday, we can build out these processes that automatically route to the right person or people for approval, review, action, whatever it might be, again, based on the security or the type of employee that we are acting upon, and then also, of course, based on the organization. So for example, if I were to, maybe I'm in the COE or maybe I am in another department and I'm transferring an employee to your department, well, maybe that'll route to you or somebody in your area because, again, it's in your organization. So security, again, always kind of is wrapped up into all of these different concepts. But at its core, a business process will automatically route tasks to responsible roles related to security. Condition rules ensure the correct process occurs every time. So the best example of this, I would say, is hire, right? So there is technically one big hire process, right? To hire an employee at BYU is one big process, right? But we all know what needs to happen when you hire a full-time faculty different than when you hire a full-time staff, than when you hire a part-time student, than when you hire a part-time adjunct. So there are what's called condition rules built into Workday to make sure that these processes route accordingly. And I kind of think of condition rules as if-then statements. So if this is a full-time faculty hire, then route to this person to launch this specific kind of background check. If this is a student hire, route to this specific person to, I don't know, check, make sure they're a student, whatever it might be, right? So condition rules ensure that the correct process happens every time based on the type of transaction. This is a very simple, which I like, a simple example of a business process. An employee requests an absence. So I submit in Workday, I want to take vacation day, next Friday. It routes to my manager approves it. I receive a little notification, my bell icon saying, your absence request has been approved. So in your role as HR business partner or ops specialist, you will get things in your inbox, your My Tasks, that you will either have to approve or potentially maybe send back or probably very sparingly deny. So when you approve a task through your My Tasks, it is just that, right? It's approved, it moves forward to the next step in the process. You can also send things back. So maybe something comes to you, maybe it's a compensation change or whatever it might be, and you read through it and you realize, ooh, there's some data that's incorrect or some things you have questions on. Of course, you could pick up the phone and talk to the person or, walk over to their desk if you'd like. You can also click the send back button and it'll go back to the initiator or back to that last person in the process. And you can leave a little comment. Hey, I think your comp is outside of the range. This isn't what we discussed, whatever the case might be. Deny completely cancels the business process. So we use this very, very cautiously, right? So if there's just something wrong with it, maybe a mistake or we need to update the amount or something like that, definitely recommend you just send it back, make the adjustment and then move it forward. Because deny, again, completely stops the process. you would then need to go back in, or the initiator would need to go back in and start over. Errors and alerts. So my understanding and my experience from back in my PeopleSoft days is that sometimes PeopleSoft error messages just look like Greek, right? They make no sense. No one knows what they mean. That is not the case in Workday. In Workday, the error messages and the alerts are typically very understandable. So an error is red, and typically this means you missed a required field. If you get an error, you won't be able to submit the process. It'll stop you. And like I said, typically it's because you missed a field that needs to be entered. An alert is just almost like a caution, right? So the best example I have of this is when you are initiating a hire, submitting a hire, you will put in the compensation information. And if the compensation information, let's say the salary amount, is outside of the range for that position, you'll get an alert, and it'll pop up and it'll say the information entered is out of the range. Now you can still submit it. You can submit it forward, pass go, collect $200. It's not stopping you, but it's warning you, saying, hey, what you entered is outside of the normal comp range. So the message here is just, if you get an error or an alert, just read it. It's, like I said, they should be very self-explanatory, user-friendly, not like what you see today in PeopleSoft. All right, any questions about that? Okay. So we're going to talk about a couple of terms. This is really, now we're kind of just getting into Workday language. Once we get in and look at positions and build out our job requisition, you'll see these in the system. So time type, worker subtype, time type, worker type, and worker subtype. So Workday identifies employees based on a combination of these items. So a time type is full-time or part-time. Those are the only two options. You're either full-time, 40 hours a week, or part-time. A worker type is also only two options. You're either a contingent worker or you're an employee. We'll talk about contingent workers in just a minute. Contingent worker just means you are not paid by BYU. I am a contingent worker. Worker subtypes get a little bit deeper into what you're probably used to seeing today. So if my worker type is employee, these are your various worker subtypes. So you would be a faculty, you'd be staff, you'd be student, you'd be seasonal, you'd be executive. Now, all of these could also be part-time or full-time, right? Time type is separate. So a part-time faculty would essentially be an adjunct, right? So adjunct would fall under faculty. Student, of course, self-explanatory. Staff could be part-time or full-time. So worker type, employee, worker subtype, any of these options here. Now, if my worker type is contingent worker, here are the different subtypes for contingent workers. This could be an independent contractor like myself, right? Philanthropies, volunteers. The idea about a contingent worker, these are pre-approved individuals. These are not paid by BYU. And that, what we mean by that is we're not on payroll, right? I'm not paid by Workday payroll, right? Of course, contractors, BYU is still paying for, but it's coming out of more purchasing, right? Contract pay. We're not paid by BYU payroll. Okay. Contingent workers, if you put a contingent worker in Workday, you're basically giving them some provisioning, or they need some provisioning access. So I am in your current system because I have a net ID. I need obviously access to your systems, access to certain buildings. Not all contingent workers or not all, contractors would need access to things like that, right? Questions on that?
Yeah, is 3/4 still a thing?
So it is a thing, but it's not actually indicated in Workday. It would still either be part-time or full-time. So 3/4 time would be part-time, right? Part-time, yeah.
Are all of your slides available?
They will be, yep. Yep, I believe they'll be posted tomorrow. Yep, absolutely. All right. So we're going to talk about the job catalog now. I think we've got just a few more slides, and then we'll hop in and get into the tenant a little bit more. And then we will take a formal break here in a little bit as well. I know we've been going for a little while. So the job catalog is really just our fancy formal way of talking about all of these different positions and all of the data that's associated with them. So we've already talked about positions, which is over there on the far right. So again, think of your job catalog as all of the various types of employees and positions and data around those positions that we have here at BYU. The way that Workday groups these is into first by job family group. So a job family group, right, is kind of an overarching umbrella, right? I think I heard Rob describe this as like the nestled Russian dolls, you know, where like one's in another and another, another. So your big overarching one is your job family group. Then within there is a job family. And then in the job family are the individual job profiles. So for example, we got a couple different examples. So one job family group is faculty, right? So faculty is a big kind of umbrella group. Now, the smaller, the little nestled doll underneath that would be the job family, would be faculty professorial, right? That's a pretty hard word for me to say. So that's another kind of category within the overarching faculty job family group. So we've got our job family. Then underneath there, we have our individual job profiles. So a job profile is different than a position, which is different than a worker, right? A job profile is attached to a position, and the job profile is basically telling us what type of job is this. So in the faculty example, that top row, the job profile would be a regular faculty professorial profile. Then that position is, in this case, still is a regular faculty. It's got your position number. So you see the, what is that, a 8-digit number, 1000, blah, blah, blah. Now, this is where on that position, we could say this is a regular faculty English, regular faculty psychology, right? This is where the actual position title would live. Let's talk about the second example. I think this one's probably a little bit more straightforward. Big job family group is information technology, IT, right? The job family is software development, but within that family, you could have a software development specialist 1, software development specialist 2, software development specialist 3, software development manager, maybe, right? All of those profiles have you essentially a slightly different job description, right? So a development specialist 1 is a little bit different than a development specialist 3, right? But again, it's still just the profile that has specific attributes about that job. Then the position, I could say, this software development specialist 3. I don't know, maybe I would call it software development specialist 3 - web developer or something like that. Student workers, I think, is the area where you might see the most differences. And that's simply because you all have so many student workers, right? But again, student worker umbrella, student worker job family, the profiles, and I don't know how high you go, but you've got student worker 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however high you go, right? And again, you all know this a lot better than me. Each one of those levels probably has a slightly different comp rate, right? Slightly different maybe experience level that's needed. But student worker 1 now is used all across the board. And you can see in the position, that's where we're going to indicate, okay, this is a student worker, it's a custodial worker. This is a student worker in dining. This is a student worker in life sciences. This is a student worker in the bookstore, right? All of the different places where you might have a student worker 1 pay range, experience level, but then you can actually, on your position, you can have your specific job description, course title. Okay so far?
Your positions of where you have like custodial worker 1, and we have it say like our division and within our department, there are several divisions.
Yep, absolutely, yep. You can, and we'll see this when we go to post the job rec, you can put in the title, however you need to title it. All right. There we go. So how do we get an open position, right? So we've already talked about positions. And, you know, I think we already talked about, well, in order to hire someone, in order to even start the process of a job requisition, you have to have a vacant position. Vacant position either comes from termination, right? So a employee leaves, right? So then we have a vacant seat. It could be like right now, you could just have some vacant positions. Maybe there were some newly budgeted positions that you haven't hired for yet. To actually create a position in Workday, that's going to be done by our central hiring offices. So you all here, you all can create job requisitions, so put the position on the rec, but the only folks that are actually creating or approving open or brand new positions is the hiring office. Now, what they've done for a go live is create these extra positions. They're calling them buffering positions in every organization that can be used at a future time. So I think they've created a ton of student worker positions because we know that those are hired all the time. There might be some others in there as well, but the hope is that there isn't any kind of backlog of, oh, I need to create a job rec or I need to hire a student and I don't have a vacant position, right? Everybody should have vacant positions at Go Live. But the key here is that this process, which this is a screenshot of how to actually create a position. Now, HR business partners do have access to go in and initiate this to say, I need 3 new trainer positions. It'll then route to the hiring office for approval. And then it won't actually be made available until it's approved by the hiring office. But you can initiate those. Business partners can initiate those. Again, the idea is that you shouldn't even have to, because there should be enough vacant positions in your organizations that you don't need to do that. Yeah.
So a faculty has one TA.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they decide they need 2.
Yep.
So, but are they gonna have inside of their organization these empty
They
positions?
should. That's my understanding. Jill, do you have it? Jill or Catherine?
Full-time faculty or adjunct? What was your-
Full-time, either one, but full-time is what I was thinking.
Right, so when we go live, you will have all of your current positions. There are some extra built in for adjunct. They're preparing those for go live. So, right, if for some reason you did need a new position, you would have to do this request and it will go through the faculty compensation office.
He was asking about TA. What would that
Oh,
mean?
I'm so sorry. I thought you said faculty.
Well,
My
TA that
bad.
reports to us.
I believe it's the same process though, is that they are trying to build everything that you will need in. But if you find yourself in a position where you need an additional TA, you'll just have to request it and that would go through the staff.
And is that by supervisory org? Is that your question?
Well,
Is it
yeah,
at the
but-
college level and is it the unit level?
Well, but the supervisory org, the professor, the faculty member has his own supervisory org, right?
Falling under your chairs.
So, yeah,
The
so
business partner could do it for any supervisory org they support.
they can request it.
Correct. Yeah.
You're saying, well, but if we have those open positions, buffer positions
Yeah.
in our college. And so those could service music or art or design or any of our independent distinct academic units. It would just come as a request from one of the managers, HR managers to say, we need to hire this.
Yep, we need 4 more.
Or could they just go in, will they see it within their organization, go in and be able to turn that into a hire request because it's a position now?
Yeah, so we will talk about the expedited hires, I think week 2 or week 3. Do you know, can they do the expedited hire on TAs? Is a TA considered a student worker?
Yes.
It is, okay, then I think so. Student workers, you can do the hire process on a
So
student
those
worker.
buffer things, you don't have to, since that's a position that's sitting there and it's a student, it's a student hire.
Yep.
You would just go in and describe, like, whoever the hiring HR manager
Mhm.
is could go in and turn that into TA for,
Okay, so great question. So if you needed to edit the position, so like right now it's a student worker 1 and it needs to be a student worker 3, just use that example. So it's not exact, then that would need to go through and either edit position which would need to go to the hiring office. Or maybe you're like, well, no, I want to keep that and I just want a new one that's a student worker 4 or 5, you know, whatever it might be.
Depending on
Yep,
whether it meets like the wage range requirement.
Exactly. Yeah.
Kind of what.
yes, yes. And we'll go through all of that in 2 or week 3. Yeah, please.
I just feel like I need to clarify one thing, and I think you probably all know this, but when it comes to faculty, adjunct is a new position management, so what we're talking about is requesting new positions for adjunct, that's a thing, but it's not a thing for full-time faculty. You have FTE, you don't just get to request, that's a whole criminal process through President's Council. So I just wanted to make sure that was still clear.
No, thank you for saying that. You get a faculty, you get a faculty, you get a faculty.
Day is great.
All right, one more thing on this topic. So editing, freezing, or closing. So these are all processes that are done at the hiring office level. So these aren't initiated within the organization or within the units. But if you needed to, like what we were just talking about, edit, you know, this, you know, was a supervisor or sorry, a student worker 1, but we really need a student worker 4. You could potentially work with the hiring office to edit a position. Closing positions. So my understanding is currently, if you're, you know, I'm not going to need that for another little while, you'll close a position and then reopen it later. So in Workday, closing it is like closing, done, can never do it again. You would need to create a brand new position. So yeah, so we are not closing positions. It would be done super, super, super rarely. Like you're never going to teach, certain subject ever again or something like that, right? So you will see, well, we're not doing terminations today, but I think week 5, when you do termination, there's even kind of an area in the term that is thankfully grayed out where you have the option to close the position. We try to make sure nobody even has that option. So of course, there might be a reason why you would close the position, but for now, you know, if you're just, hey, I'm not going to use that for 6 months or a year, just leave it. It's okay if it's vacant. It's just better to have it there and be able to use it, hire into it, than close it and have to go through the process of creating a brand new one. Yeah.
Everybody can do those 3 things?
No, only the hiring offices.
Oh.
Yes, yep. Now, closed position, the reason why we bring it up is because you will see it on the termination screen. Again, I believe it's grayed out, so you don't even have the option of doing it, which is great, but you might see it there. So just trying our best not to close positions going forward. All right, so Miss Lauren, we are on for positions. Do we have vacant positions yet? Do we need? Okay, super. Okay, let's take like 10 minutes. Do you think that's enough time, Lauren? Yeah. Okay, we're gonna take a 10-minute break. So feel free to walk around, do whatever you need to do. When we come back, we will find vacant positions in your organization. Email. Yep, that's a yes, and see if there's. We'll see.
Just.
Okay.
We go over stuff. Yeah.
I'm just saying all the job positions. That's a good question. That's a really good question. A lot of stuff is gonna pour into the system, but that's one I'm not sure. Your, that's our people. That this gal down here. Like for the adjunct.
My faculty adjunct, because I prefer those a lot. You're right. Opening a new one. Yeah. It was the HR system.
Yeah. Position description.
It might be more generic because like Every adjunct is a
Well,
little bit
I,
different,
I just put money on my
right?
card. I don't.
So
care.
what
And
I'm
you might
asking
like,
or what
and
my
you like
thoughts
to have,
wording.
and
Like,
you
I
have
have
to
ideas.
keep positions that,
and
you like your wording that
Yeah,
you've used. in the
exactly.
past.
Yeah.
A statement or a comment. Like, I'm out of here, I am not doing it.
So that's all right.
Thank you, my retirement day.
It's not you're getting.
Yes.
I'm not sure.
They give it back.
Yes. They will not. Year. So I would suggest if you want.
The manufacturer up here.
Go grab some.
I'll have to go waste at the bottom and see if there's some open position.
Oh, be like.
Not in mine.
So you
Not
don't,
in
yeah.
mine.
So interesting. What if you go up to Megan?
That would be.
Every time I sign up for it. Oh, I mean, we always are.
Should be in the back for a lot of sales. So
I know.
keep showing until you get to the end of this.
Yeah, this speaks as I'm not. So that's
Those are faculty. Okay. Well, maybe they reside at the highest level, so you can have. That's fine. Yeah, I don't think they, I think they clarified that much about.
Because. See that this.
Yeah, so we'll be able to reopen the position. It will last two. No, we still have to be, that's right, they'll have to treat the student
To.
I won't have any way to, or in case you decide not to last two.
Maybe she does.
She'll sell, certainly, there will.
Let me open up mine and see, because maybe they're sitting out of
To department, right, but, okay.
For your-
I was gonna, I think what we want to, in the future, right now, when you'll see this.
HR. So those open positions, I don't know if you have much to do with that, but there's a fair change.
You know that everything you do in compensation.
Okay, yeah, because I think they're all appearing maybe at the standard that you use as opposed to like, you know, the unit field, like college. And then or what, you know, whatever academic departments within the college, and it would be those individual academic departments that would need to have access to those proper positions.
That they're.
They got, and you're.
My exam, that'll kind of be after you go by.
Student hiring. Oh, that's part of it. It would be students that, you know, when they have to hire some students at the beginning of the year, they have, you know, they run out of positions. And it's like, oh, we gotta get through more candidates for this.
I know, that's the way actually.
So when we recently very hands-on of claims positions. And so compensation.
Yeah, she is.
Created.
Oh, that's what I've heard. I've heard some stories.
Yeah. When I was a business partner, I was
Micromanagers.
I got like 50 assigned to me in all of my areas and then I reach out and find out which. That she didn't want me to take for my area.
Oh, okay, so those will all reside with compensation.
Yeah, they own all the.
So it's not like, if they were saying we would see open positions and buffer positions, maybe in.
Right, and so the buffer positions are like the 50 I was just talking about. I was given 50 for my area. And so you would be given a certain number of area too. And I would say if you haven't been given it,
You're
you may not.
Like, doesn't matter how big or small.
it's like maybe your department is different than this.
No, sorry.
But I guess the question is, for our departments, they're really the ones that are doing the student. Academic. So I'm sitting in college, you know, actually. That's what I'm wondering. That's what we're asking. Well, they should. Yeah, they should be, able. So each of those units should be able to see within their unit, not necessarily at the college level, but in their unit. And that's what's kind of frustrating about this, because it's not accurate. Yeah, but it should show you what,
So when we go.
so they will
live,
give a chunk to each of the academic units. If they're aware you need them. Okay, so we just need to make sure. I mean,
So we talked to these guys back there. But they conversation.
their faculty, so you would talk to Molly Crackhead and is she compensation? She is, yeah. We were both business partners and we just both recently got promoted, so she's the executive director. She is. I've seen her in the meetings with Sarah. And she would just be a good one to call there, these things. It's the comp partners that's going forward, but she would always be able to tell you, you know, at this point, we're in cities and how we would get them out to the individual units. And
See, what I'd like to have is, we already have some positions, some chairs that have TAs in them. And when we get to the new semester, we would just terminate it. And then have a chair that we can fill with the new. But if we have a faculty that has one TA right now, and they need three. Then we have some nice chairs that we need to that.
Other stuff, but
Just let this is all do. So, it's designed to give us flexibility. That's what I'm gonna check in with Molly Crackhead. I'm gonna tell her our need would be not at the college level, it would be at the individual unit.
Like, and
Especially when you can.
And they had us the plan of buffer positions. We just need to be and make sure the unit is not. You,
Right, that's right.
So.
They're waiting.
Yeah, the time.
person I said, it is refreshing. We're telling to take it.
You're staying through the supervisor.
That's
You're
what
doing it.
that's what I
Committee,
mean.
yeah, you're
So
Well-
that has to be approved.
there. The position is there. You're gonna create in that position. And you're.
Reassigning it to a new TA. So I've got an empty
By
seat.
by choosing the supervisor, you're assigning it to that. When you put a hire in, you say who is the supervisor.
There are not enough.
So I'm trying to get a better.
Those are completely open. All those buffer ones, you can choose any supervisor you want.
So we can.
When it opens back up.
Able to- So put it in that position.
Yeah, so it was kind of Tyson in the search firm. I feel like just goes through the regular. Yeah, no, these people are showing up because they got student hire, that's in their title. Unit.
I mean, states are.
You could, when you got as a you can do anything except for maybe like any computer.
1 minute.
Or something, that would be sound. You're just changing the supervisors.
Yeah, it's just a.
Because we do that on the evening.
Yeah, it's just one of those basic, you know, kind of.
He was over 50, probably, and he's over here, but it matter. So I got a new.
No, what do you want to do? Well, supervisor, but. We don't want this to be a level of rage. If you're doing anything.
Of that position itself, other than, you know, obviously, because it's gonna have. Right, I need to alter that. Yeah, something.
It's not-
But.
You're so nice.
Yeah.
We're starting in about 30 seconds.
Oh, a little bit, yeah.
Probably gonna make that.
She's like, I'm so happy. I mean, one thing that was really interesting, she really so that's part of the language or in all of it. Because the space we might have some back. We supervise her so much, but I still wanted some, yeah. What I said. It's just, yeah.
That's what I told her. I said, why don't you come from 12 to the rest of us?
All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. So, what we're gonna do now, I'm gonna hop into the tenant and we're gonna look at some vacant positions. So if you are following along, or have been following along, I would ask that you just watch for right now, simply because we are working on trying to get some vacant positions loaded for you. Some of you already have vacant positions just by default, right? Just because you've got vacant positions in your organization or did in April. Others of you do not. So we're trying hard to get some positions. Say that again. Okay. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Let me hop back in. Okay. So I want to look up what vacant positions I have in my org, or maybe orgs that I support. So there's a lot of different ways you can do this. My favorite, the way that I like, is through the org chart. So I'm going to go back to my profile. I'm going to click the team, the little org chart icon to go to the organizational chart. So remember, I as Harper HR, I report to Max. Max has that little 24 in the blue bubble. So that means he's got 24 either positions or people that report to him, right? So 24, they might not all be filled. So if I scroll down, anything that has obviously a employee's name and or a photo, these are employees, right? So we've got Cami Campus, Harper HR, Captain Hook, Emily Employee, Jack Sparrow, Lightning McQueen, right? Now, as I keep scrolling down, now I'm getting not employee names and titles and locations. I'm getting just these numbers, right? These are vacant positions. So when you look in the org chart, you will see the same thing, right? You'll see both your filled positions or filled positions within orgs that you support and vacant positions. So the way to tell it's vacant, it's going to start with that position number. It's not going to have a photo and it's not going to have an employee name. You can always click show more, because again, Max has like 24 or 26, so it won't always all show up on the screen, but he's got lots and lots of vacant positions in his organization. So I'm going to go ahead and just click on one of these. I'm going to do this training staff right here, 7550229. So this is telling me, well, right away, I can see up at the top, training staff 5 in parentheses unfilled, right? So pretty self-explanatory, it's an unfilled position. And this is where you can kind of play around with some of the features on the position. So right away, position overview, this first tab, I see the supervisory organization that it's in, right? Max Managers Org, which is titled Training Staff Yellow. I see the various organizational assignments. So the company, the cost center, right? Of course, the supervisory org is Max. I see the title. This is Training Staff 5. And then you can kind of play around with some more of the details, right? If you click on hiring restrictions, this is where you'll get the job profile. So again, there's a difference between my position title, which right now is Training Staff -5, which again, this is just simply because we were creating a ton of these. So it's just Training Staff 5. It could say, maybe for you, it says, Trainer -Life Sciences or Training Assistant -Humanities. Okay, so that's where you have kind of the flexibility in the title. But under hiring restrictions, that profile is training assistant 1. Now I can then click, remember, if it's blue, you can do, right? So I can click on that training assistant 1 link and I can look at the data on the job profile. Okay, so job profile gives me my management level. This is an individual contributor. It gives me my job family. It gives me my job category. Under compensation, it gives me my compensation grade. So go ahead and play around with this a little bit. So here's what we want you to do though. We're still finishing up loading some vacant positions for you. You can do a couple different things. You can look up your organization. So go to your profile, go to the org chart, poke around and look to see where you might have vacant positions in your org. And again, right now we're just looking at these position details. So if you're following along in the activity, it might say find a staff. Right now, we kind of don't care. So we're just kind of looking at vacant positions. So you can look at whatever position you want. If you are having trouble finding any, just look up Harper HR. And I've got a ton under mine. So you're welcome to look at the vacant positions in my org. But we just want you to play around with looking at the vacant positions, looking at job profiles, looking at the position details. And then we'll, in just a little bit, we'll actually go in and build out a job requisition. We'll all use a vacant position. So just take a couple minutes.
Typically, yours look a little different than mine.
Sure.
And I don't know if it's just because I'm a business partner. So from that presentation, I can actually have the option to choose open the job rec.
Click on that. The job rec is already open. Yeah, so this one is fake. So that you have that tab.
Oh, we can have that open.
You already have it open as a job rec.
Oh, so it just hasn't been filled. But it's out
Exactly.
there.
But it's out there. Yep,
Okay,
yep.
got it.
Yep.
Great. So on this tab, that is not the capability to just look at an open position and open a job right there. Or to start that process.
You might actually be able to. See if you can find one that does not already have a job.
Okay.
Here, I can see if you can do it from mine. You might be able to do it from this related action right here.
Oh.
Oh, wait, that's the job profile. Let me go back to the actual stuff.
Yeah, it looks like all I have is that one in the college, at the college level. Let's see if there's some in some of the other organizations.
Yeah. So when I'm on the actual position, this is my unfilled one. I don't have a job rec for it right now.
Okay.
I can click the related actions up here.
And that lets you open a
Job change, create job rec.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. It's still. I was gonna. So, so there's only those 2 regular faculty, but when you have, if you. Up here. In actions. If you go to job change, the related actions up the,
Yes.
go to job, do you see that create job rec? So you can actually go right from one of those open positions to where you need to go to start an actual requisition.
Oh, no, recognition.
Oh, yeah, that's a position. So when you have student hires out there, they're open. If it looks right, if it's a student level 1 or student level 2, whatever you use, you can actually initiate the job rec.
Because I'm like, I don't.
Right from having into that open position, going to related actions, open job rec, and then begin that process of filling that position with all the right details. Who are they going to reach to? All that kind of stuff. And I think you also have the opportunity to customize a little bit, like, you know, for instance, level 1, you're going to have the media, you're going to have theater, you're going to have, you know, whatever. And that's where you would also customize about what that PA job relates to.
Okay. One. Answer. Seven right now. He's seeing where this is.
Just your direct hires.
Inside of Megan's.
Inside of me.
Yes, and that's why they told us to be very, very careful about who we put on trusted people in that system. Because apparently when there are some pretty broad permissions given when you're sitting in a certain role. And some of them, we just have to communicate.
Okay, everybody find in vacant position.
Like if you're letting student employees in, and we will be, you know.
Yes,
So, access, you know, that's not a good thing, right? So.
Sure.
That's why.
You actually are in a different,
It's in our.
yeah, you're in a different, it's not service level, but two HR.
Okay.
Because we both, because we train simultaneously, so you're just in a different. So you're on a student one too that's unfilled.
You want to be really careful and trust with this information about getting.
Yep, so the position details, so the supervisor working on
Access.
and then these are the different organizations. And then here's your. Job description.
So what is it that you're seeing all the faculty? You're probably not seeing faculty. You are seeing faculty. Okay. And I don't know if that will change.
I don't know.
Except Megan.
Based on, right, because she's in another org, because she's in a different org, she's in the dean's office. But that might change because they've given pretty broad access and maybe they've looked for ops specialists. I don't know. I don't know how they do that. I think that's just one of the limitations of the system. Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna move on. I'm gonna go through creating a job. Well, we're gonna talk through some slides about recruiting, and then I'm gonna demo create job rec, and then we will we'll walk you through creating a job requisition. So recruiting. So again, we've gone through most of this already, and I love this slide because it really kind of shows the progression. So we have a job profile, right? Training assistant 1, student worker 1, student worker 2. We attach that job profile to a position. So position is training assistant - humanities, position number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then we attach the position to a job requisition. So I'm going to create a job requisition for this position. That job requisition is created by you all potentially and then submitted. Then the hiring office will post that job to our various career sites so we can gather our candidates. Then a lot that happens between the top 2 steps, which we'll do next week. And then we hire, right? So job profile is attached to a position, is attached to a rec, is then posted, and then eventually we get our candidates and we hire. Now I will say, and again, talk about this next week or the week after, there is a simplified way to hire students. So you do not have to post every student job. You can if you want to. You don't have to post. There's an expedited hire process. You still need a vacant position, but you don't have to go through the requisition process for student workers. All right, what is a job requisition? So this is essentially a request to hire, a request to post. So positions are the chair, right? We got our big table, we got our chair, vacant positions, like an empty chair. The job rec is the request to fill that chair. So the job rec is what is posted. That is what we use to recruit our candidates, right? To advertise the job and to get all of our fabulous candidates to apply. 2 different types of job requisitions. We are really only going to focus on the top one. So a job requisition, I like to call this a hiring requisition, right? You post this for one position. You could post it for multiple positions too, if it's the same exact job, right? We need to hire 3 trainers, right? So I can have one posting for 3 trainers. But you're hiring for a very specific headcount. I need 1 trainer. You all can create these. So business partners, ops specialists, hiring managers can create job requisitions. They have a more simplified way to do this. We are training them on that in their manager self-service training. And then of course our recruiting COEs and hiring offices can create these as well. There's another type of requisition called an evergreen requisition. These are only going to be created by the hiring offices, and these are going to be used for very specific types of hires. These are for those high volume positions. So I believe there's certain student workers, maybe dining was one of them, where we're just constantly hiring. There's so much turnover that you just need a large candidate pool to be able to pull from, like in a day's notice. So evergreen requisitions are kind of just posted out there indefinitely. You still do have to have the vacant position, but evergreen requisition is really just a way to recruit candidates. Then we take those candidates in the pool and then attach them to individual hiring requisitions and hire them. So evergreen requisitions can be posted to hire for multiple different organizations across the college. So what you all are going to be most concerned about is the job requisition, which is what we're going to do today. So to create a job rec, we will, there's a couple different ways you can navigate there. We'll use the search bar today to use the create job rec task. You will always have to select the supervisory organization and the position that you are hiring into. So that is the first thing you'll do. You won't really be able to do anything else until you say, I'm hiring into this supervisory organization. And then it's going to show you a drop down of all of the positions that are in that org. And you'll have to select a vacant position in order to move forward. So again, if you don't have a vacant position, you'll need to either find one or go through the create position process. You'll add some various recruiting information, the dates that you want to start recruiting, review some of the details that populate based on the position. You will review the organizations that are assigned to this role, and then eventually you'll add a primary recruiter. So we'll walk through all of that in Workday here in just a second. Or now. So for this one in particular, I'm going to say we're still working on your vacant positions. Yeah. Okay. So please just watch. I'm going to walk through the entire process, and then we'll walk around and make sure everybody has a vacant position, and then you all can do it as an activity on your own. All right. So lots of different ways you can get to create job rec. I'm just going to use the search bar. So I'm going to type in create job requisition. And it's this first task here. One thing I will say from the beginning, we had some confusion about this in one of our other classes. I didn't say it explicitly. If you are also a manager, a hiring manager, you have direct reports. You have access to two different tasks to do this. And I was mentioning before, hiring managers can create job recs. Their task is slightly different. So the task create job requisition is what we want to do as HR professionals. The task start job requisition is what a hiring manager would do. It is a more simplified process, and it goes through a slightly different approval flow. Now, is it the end of the world if you do one and not the other? No. But I would say, do your best, create job rec, especially if you're doing, well, the only thing you'll be able to use if you're creating a job rec for a position that does not report to you would be create job requisition. Okay, so create job requisition. First thing it's asking me is the supervisory organization. You see up here, copy details from existing recs. So once we've been in Workday for a little while and you've created job requisitions, you can go in and just copy from an existing one. It's kind of like cloning. Somebody was asking yesterday, oh, can we clone? Copy would be like cloning. The first thing you're going to do is put in the supervisory organization. Easiest way to find the supervisory organization is to type in the hiring manager, right? Who's the manager of the org that has the vacant position? So for me, that's going to be Max Manager. Yellow one. And then we got to decide, is it for one position or is it for multiple positions? Either way, the position has to be existing. So I'm going to say for existing position. And then I get my drop down here. Now the drop down is going to include filled and unfilled positions. So you can see up here, I do see like Captain Hook, Lightning McQueen, all of those. If I scroll down, I see my my training staff positions. I see all these positions that have unfilled in parentheses. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to do this training staff 5 for today. And my worker type defaulted. You can click that drop down again. There's only 2 options. You're either hiring a contingent worker or an employee. So I'll click OK. Now, as I go through this job rec, a lot of information is going to populate based on that position that I selected. Because remember, that position has details. It has a job profile associated with it. So honestly, it just kind of makes my job easier when I'm going in to create my rec. So here's my position. Recruiting details, you always need to put in a reason. So I'm going to click that drop down, create job requisition administrative, and then you've got a lot of different reasons here. They should be self-explanatory. So are you creating this because somebody resigned, because somebody retired, because somebody was termed? Is this just a brand new position? Now, this doesn't necessarily drive anything. This is really just for reporting purposes. So I'll say this is a new position. Now, you're going to see some fields that I'm skipping over. Again, it's just simply, they're not required. So if this were a replacement for someone, you could put their name in here. Again, doesn't drive anything. It's really just for reporting purposes. So of course, if you know that information, if you know this is replacing a certain person, feel free to put that information in there.
So it's not a new position, then it's a new hire?
So this, yes, so it's a new hire. I'm saying that this is a new position. I got this new budgeted position and it was already created. Yeah, it was already created.
It's a new seat.
What was that?
A new seat.
A new seat. Yeah, exactly. It was a new seat. So recruiting instructions, super important. This is how you tell the hiring office. So backing up a little bit, we're creating the job rec. We're going to submit it, and then our hiring office is going to post it. So we need to tell them, do we want to post it internally? Do we want to post it externally, or both? So I'm going to say post internally and externally. Okay. Recruiting start date, for the most part, I think would be today, right? You're probably, if you're creating this, you're probably saying, okay, as soon as this is approved and post, I want to post it immediately because I want to start hiring. Now you could be like way ahead of the game and are posting maybe some faculty positions that you don't want to start recruiting for until October 1st. You're welcome to future date this, but I'm just going to leave mine as today. Your target hire date, you always want that to be today's date or the same date as your recruiting start date. Okay. If we're future dating this and we are trying to hire before that date by any chance, we could be getting some errors on the back end as we're hiring. So the safest bet is just recruiting start date, target hire date, always today's date. We also do not want to put in a target end date. This is not where you say, I only want this posted for 5 days or for 10 days. I'll show you where we're going to put that information. Target end date is not that. Okay, so just leave it blank. It's not a required field. It's going to default blank. Just leave it as is. Referral payment plan. If you click that drop down, there's an option. Again, you would know if that's something that applies to your role or not. I'm going to click next, so the blue next button. Couple different ways that you can navigate through here. You've got your little tabs over here on the left, so you could also just kind of click through each of the different tabs, or you can click that next button at the bottom. So now we're in job details. So click the pencil icon, or I'll go ahead and click the pencil icon, and this is the job posting title. This is defaulting, this is defaulting from my position, but this is where you can change it. So back when we were talking about job profiles and positions, so we had, student worker 1. that job profile. This is where, and then we built out that position. So maybe it's student worker 1, life sciences, right? You've got 5, student worker 1, life sciences. Well, maybe now in the posting title, you want it to say student worker 1, I don't know, professor's assistant, life sciences or something, right? You could make it even more specific here. You have that freedom to adjust that job posting title. This is what's advertised out to the world to see. I'm gonna just change it to my initials for today. I'm gonna say training staff G9, just so I can find it. When you go in to do your activity, you'll do the same thing. Put something in there so you know that this one is yours. Now, in the real world, when we go live, this is where the recruiting offices, the hiring offices want you to put in the end date for the posting. This flags them right away that, okay, this needs to be pulled down, let's say, I'm gonna say 10/15. Oops, not 12, 10, 15, 20, 24. They will remove that before they post it. So this is not gonna get posted with a date. This just flags them to say, okay, this is gonna be posted immediately, but it's going to be taken down on October 15th. So they'll put that in the posting.
When are they gonna update the system and have that be a?
I know. I would love, unfortunately, I cannot answer that.
Come on.
I would love to ask Mr. I have my long list of questions that I want to ask Mr. Workday, so I'll add that on there. All right. So now I'm going to kind of scroll through, and a lot of information is populating based on the position. So there's my job profile. We don't want to change that because that was built onto the position. So if I change the job profile, I'm really changing the type of position I'm looking for. Okay. Position description. So this is where you'll want to copy and paste the job description that would, or whatever description you want on your posting. So down the road, in our perfect world, once we get used to Workday and can have some enhancements and some updates, we can have job descriptions populate on the profile. So when you select a student worker 1 profile, it'll populate with a student worker 1 job description. Now, again, I know student worker 1, that might be a bad example because it's used universally. So student worker 1 in dining is going to look different than a student worker 1 in life sciences. But the capability is there to have those job descriptions populate. Yeah.
Holly, this might be a question for you. For a long time, my impression was that in the job description for the posting, we could just give a brief description. But then at one point, I can't remember when, I was told that it needed to be very specific to what the actual job description was. And that a brief, just little summary wasn't sufficient.
The job posting description.
Yeah.
So for adjuncts, for all of our faculty is going to be pretty specific to that course. For adjuncts, it's going to be specific to that course. It can't be very generalized. I mean, some of it can be like, teaching experience. If that's very similar to the other courses, that's fine, but it needs to be more specific to that course.
So for adjunct, we need to it's more lengthy and more detailed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mostly what we're already doing today.
But for student and staff, it'd be a little more
I guess so, yeah.
brief and general. Okay.
Our adjunct ones will have a similar template that will pull in. So all you have to do is sort of auto fill it. Fill it in like you do now.
Thank you.
So for today, since I don't have any job descriptions to copy and paste from, I'm just gonna type everything in just so you can see it on the posting. All right. As I keep scrolling down, again, you'll see a lot of things are just populating for me because of the position, which is great. This is kind of the beauty of having everything built beforehand, right? So my worker subtype is staff. My time type is full-time. My primary location is the Crabtree building, right? My primary job posting location, again, it's the general BYU. This is here in Central Campus. You don't need these additional locations or job posting locations fields. Scheduled weekly hours, that's defaulting to 40 because it's a full-time job. Our comp, so you can ignore the evergreen requisition, because again, we're focusing on job requisitions here today. Comp grade that defaulted from the profile, I can't even click in there and change it. And then the last thing here that also defaults, I'm just gonna click here so you can see it, that you also don't want to change, are these questionnaires. So again, the way the recruiting system is built, it's, one recruiting system, but we know that if we are recruiting for a faculty versus a staff versus a student, there are different questions that we need them to fill out on the application. So this is saying that because I've picked a staff employee type, this is defaulting to our staff questionnaire. So on the application side, there are specific questions that applicants are going to have to answer. So I'm done there. I'm going to click next. This skills tab here, you can just skip over. So skills is not being used currently, just as kind of an aside. Workday has a really robust skills framework within it that crosses all kinds of areas of Workday. So eventually what can happen is based on the job description, Workday can pull in these required skills or suggested skills that can be on that job requisition that can then match to candidates, that can then pull into their profiles, that can pull into, oh, we're missing this skill. So maybe this is a skill attached to a learning course. We can suggest skill courses for people based on skills. So it's a pretty robust platform that typically we don't go live with because it takes a little while to build up. So for now, you can skip over the skills section. Now, of course, in your job description and in the posting, you can still post, the knowledge, skills, and abilities that are needed for your candidates. But for this particular piece, you can skip it over.
It's probably a future question, but so if we knew that a position in our college was going to be vacated and we wanted to know who on campus would be good target, that we could reach out to and say, please apply, or
this is exactly it. Yep. So it'll pull, it's called a skills cloud. So it'll pull, kind of parse people's resumes, their profile, their current job, and it'll basically highlight all of those skills on their worker profile. And then, you can pull reports based on it. It's really cool. It's really robust. But as you can imagine, it takes a while to kind of build up.
So this is the same section where we put qualifications, for example, doctorate required or master's degree required.
But right now, that would still be in the job description that you're copying and pasting over into the posting. Yes. Eventually, yes, this could be used for that. But for now, we're gonna skip it over. Okay, organizations. So again, these are populating based on the position. So our company, our cost center, program, fund. You want to make sure, and again, it should populate based on the position, but always want to double check this hiring office. You want to make sure that that's accurate based on the position that you're recruiting for. So if this were a student, it should say, you only have 4, right? Student, staff, faculty, CE. So you just want to make sure that that correct hiring office is listed there. That drives who this is routed to. Make sure the proper person or people are posting it. The other thing, and again, this is very specific, I think, to faculty hires or to certain departments. Class, experiential learning and research and activity. So if this were related to a grant, you could put an activity there. Again, my understanding is those that use those fields know what those fields mean. All right. One more page, a couple more pages. Attachments. So my understanding is the only time attachments are required is for faculty hires. I think there's specific documentation that's needed that needs to be attached here. However, you have the ability to attach anything you want here, right? So if you have any kind of external, meaning outside of Workday approval, paperwork or documentation that you need to attach here, you can. The last thing you need to do, and this is required, you'll get a hard error when, if it doesn't, if you miss it for whatever reason, is to add the role. So if you click add, the role you're going to assign is always the primary recruiter. So what this is saying is, you are going to create the job rec, and for the most part, my understanding is you're going to put yourself as the primary recruiter. This is what gives somebody the security to manage the candidate workflow, to be able to view candidates, move them along in the process, et cetera. It kind of makes your portfolio of your requisitions, your openings that you are recruiting for and potentially moving candidates around for and eventually hiring. So primary recruiter is always required. Guest recruiter could be used, I've heard for like faculty interview committees. You would use it for anybody who might need access to the job rec or the candidates outside of the primary recruiter. But for the most part, primary recruiter, you will always have on a job rec. So for today, you're going to add yourself as the primary recruiter to your job rec.
So you're creating this for Max, right?
This is it, yeah. So Max, as the hiring manager, already has his own access to certain pieces of the process because he's the hiring manager. And we'll go through all of that next week.
This is not saying that he is the primary recruiter.
Correct. Correct. This is saying that I, as Harper HR, am the primary recruiter on it. Yeah. Now, there might be cases where the hiring manager is the primary recruiter. For today, we're going to just have ourselves be it. See if you can remember which one is mine.
Tanya, just a quick call out
please.
about that primary recruiter. The reason it's important is the business processes have been built so that some of the steps go to that primary recruiter. I know it's very true for hiring faculty, but also for staff and students. So you don't want to make your manager the primary recruiter, or they're going to be getting the schedule interview steps. So, and you'll see that in the rest of the demo, what steps are going to the primary recruiter.
Yeah. Next week, we'll go through all of that. Okay. All right, that's it. So I clicked next again. This is my final, review page. You can kind of scroll through. Did I get everything? So I know that might have seemed long because we took some time to talk through it, but really a lot of this data is populating from our position and our profile. So you do need your job description, copy and paste whatever you want on your posting. You do need to always put in your primary recruiter. Obviously, at the very beginning, we had to choose our vacant position. But aside from that, most of the data is populating for you. You're just double checking, make sure everything's populating correctly. So now I'm going to click submit. And I can see you've submitted up next staff recruiting coordinator post job. So this is telling me this has gone directly to the staff hiring office, and they are going to post the job based on the parameters that I set. All right. So are y'all ready to create a job rec? So I will pass it to Lauren to at least give some initial instructions. She has been working tirelessly to get vacant positions in everybody's organization.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll all be there, but let's go check. Some of you have them, and then if not, we'll just grab your names. It's no problem. We'll create them. So you can start working on it if you have it, and then we'll take a break. We'll kind of do a working session and a break. So you're going to look under your name. So you're going to navigate to your worker profile and the org chart. We're looking for an open position under your name, under your manager's name. You're going to kind of look around for it. Some of you aren't managers, so they're created somewhere else. I'll call that application. And it's going to be called training staff. It should be open if you're not seeing one. So we don't want it to be a student. If you're not seeing one, we want to look for an open staff position. Okay.
So just to repeat, we're looking for a vacant staff.
Vacant
It can be part-time staff, but it has to be staff. Do you have
Then you're gonna create the job rec off the related actions. So if you do find it, you can create the job rec off the related actions. They can take overtime days. It can say training, or it can be just a vacant office specialist for training staff, you don't have no one. Get training. You're at the very end of your job, right? That's why I'm not it's fine.
Yeah,
I think some of you might not have one. I have one. You have one, you don't have one. Okay, pass it to her. Then you can go ahead and follow the activity.
My name on there.
And you write your own job rec.
That should be.
It's just there.
Here's the, you just find it.
Different fire.
There's a good like a shine.
No, we're gonna, it's registering now, we'll get it created really fast. So, yeah, I'm gonna get up, yes. Is it a staff? Yes, it's well. That way. Someone else, use the HR generalist. So then off the related actions, you're gonna do some job change, and this is in the instructions. Yeah, so just go with it. Did you not type like?
Hey, Miley.
Yes.
So Mile's work on the signing. I know it's done.
No, it has to be.
They should have put. Because what they want to say.
So it can be anywhere in the work. So I don't just open one.
So to mine.
She's filled, so we're gonna create one.
Oh, great. So you are doing, well, we found one under transfer.
Just take your break really fast.
Yeah. You don't have to say that. You're gonna want to.
Great. What was your name?
All of the different.
So write down the position number, remember who the manager is.
Did you give my supervisor?
Okay, anyone else? This won't go. This won't go. We might have need one over here.
So she's like an issue, but then we took that position under Francie's name, because you don't have anybody under your name. We're gonna go everybody. So everybody. No, that's not.
Oh, you're in I.
Right now.
But just pieces of each of those ones. And so.
Well, not so you're supervisor, you know, you're working on the review contracts in this week, and there's migrants.
I've got split
That one.
I saw that email this morning. I'm very
the position.
Next two. Okay. No, I have not. Okay, did we get your name? Okay, perfect. Okay.
Well, you could just keep going, and then you'll just go do the other things, and that will create.
Yeah, just try to keep the same ones that you have.
Okay, go ahead.
You only,
Well, yeah. Where is it?
It's just like that. Yeah, it's still.
That's exactly. It helps to straighten out. No. We'll talk about it. Jill? So.
And they say not to.
So they can still come.
I don't have that.
Faculty don't. They don't have to. They don't.
Just when you get a snap.
I need to double check. We're gonna talk about that a lot. I just missed, so we'll answer that next week. I just don't know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So they just 4 degrees less than that.
Yeah, we'll do that in just a second. Okay, so we'll get started for that, just so I can take a couple things. How's everyone doing on job rec?
She was cold.
And sharing their.
Charles told me. Yeah.
So she's loading it.
Yes, that too. It is great.
Is it in here next
So
time?
I decided to go out and play with these.
Great.
fields.
Love it.
As soon as I selected that,
So then, yep, so there's something about new marketing that's not matching with something else. And I like just don't know enough about sometimes feelings of yes. So that might be it, but that is not, that is basically, so you do finance work too, right? I'm assuming, so there's something, hot sheet? Yeah, so there's something saying, wait, that can't be part of that.
With that.
Yeah.
position.
So you could go in and try to change the fund if you're the, whatever it was, the cost center, you know, it's blocked, isn't it? Yeah.
We max out on position.
I should. Hard to think.
Just
Okay, sorry.
No, no, no.
It's from the position. So it can't, if you need to go back to that, it's from that position. Anybody. If this is one of the ones we created, it probably makes no sense. We were just, I know, in a cost center. Yeah. Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
If there's anything, let's really support capacity stuff.
Exciting how cold the sign was. This is more my, now it's hot. There isn't a. It's too hot. I'm trying to be asleep.
Outside you'll be 90 degrees out there.
Yesterday I stepped up.
I know. After I got wrapped up.
Yep.
Everything. I thought you would start by just populating it, right?
Okay.
It's not, it's actually new.
You're fine.
So basically, like, you also.
FDM, you know, slot machine now.
It doesn't show up.
So basically. Way that it says, okay, this saves tax center. Oh, I don't need tax. So we're just. Sherry.
Oh, no, I was in the right spot.
Yeah. You actually type your name and then hit enter, it does come on. Yes. I kind of been for a long time, like there's another part doesn't. Here. Did you pass? No. Just she's not. Now I'm embarrassed. Those are my area.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for the seat. It's so funny. But that's how you do it. Oh, I was, ours and yesterday.
Mine says my primary refiner.
Yeah, we're not tight, because I'm the best. Yeah.
Yeah, the first page. They don't even need to, that seems like that.
Yeah, let's just.
Go see Aaron and see how it's like. It says it's.
They're confidential.
I don't know.
From the
I'm
job.
trying to train a staff. That's the one we have to try that. That one should hopefully. I did. And then once you get some organizations, just double check it all. If you want to evaluate it might not be, it might be a weird cost.
Was there a cost center we're supposed to use?
No, it's the one we created for you.
I just picked it up. The staff. They're like,
Yes.
so.
Right here, do that. But you're up behind.
They're showing me right here.
Yeah.
And now it's not.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a good job. It's like administrative termination. Signs.
Yeah, yeah, it is signed off. Yeah, you can into that.
Administrative signs. Oh, yes.
I'm sorry.
And you say that.
As you're reaching out to me, yeah, no reason for leaving. You get a chance to. Another, what's it mean, that you're not trying to see.
So figure out two.
I just walked by and then it's like a transition of interest. Yeah, so, yeah. But we did cross it first and she's not. Yeah, stay close by, so I'll take a look.
Sorry, Patty. I can't.
Yeah, they're coming through. Go ahead and post them. Leave mine though, the one that has my initial. Yeah, leave that one so I can demo it.
You can see there is that she.
What's happening with the orgs? Did orgs get put on those in the EIB? Because it's coming as organization assignments. A lot of them are coming up with no boards, so it's erroring out.
Okay, so then, can you choose?
Okay, go all the way down, then do I have to do here?
Jennifer.
I had to enter in stuff.
It was on the back end, we need to get entered in, so, that's our fault, we'll make sure to create another one for you. Let me actually just start getting big names. Do you have any other vacancies?
So.
Well, you could do it if you'd like to, but we're trying to all have the same scenario for next week. We're very calculated. Let me. Okay. You have the same error, you can scroll all the way down.
Just wondering, how do I separate this recruiter who's missing from
Yep.
job descriptions? How do I?
Yep, so let's scroll down a little bit, not too fast. Okay, so go ahead and click it here. Just anywhere, just click those
Oh,
fields.
okay.
So scroll down, it's yelling at you. Scheduling hours. So the error again. So it's telling us, we said it was full time, but the weekly hours is less than 40.
The word is, and it to be full time. Not to change it because of, student position.
Back up.
Choose to do it.
No, go down, sorry, up, down.
We got in this morning, so basically.
Well,
Yeah.
So it's also getting a little funky because you've got a training assistant, which would be a staff job. And then. Okay, keep going down. Right here. So this should actually be a student. So you chose a staff, it's a staff position, a staff profile. So this should actually be staff. And we also.
Profile.
That actually should have, did that come through on the position? This all should have defaulted. We want to keep that there. Yeah. This, let's just change this one. So this should actually be a staff. So
Yes.
What, I want to hire a student.
So we all need to hire staff for today.
Oh.
We'll hire students next week.
Oh, okay, all right, okay. Sorry about that.
Okay, sorry. And then keep stuff 40. I mean, maybe the full text. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Now, we should be good. The last one, right now, we need to add our. Click that.
Okay.
This is where we need to add the. Yeah, so you'll select the primary recruiter and then just type your name in.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, no problem. There's not gonna be anything.
Keeping it still similar.
Yeah. Office.
What I'm happening is. So scroll down.
So you can use search by just running for not by building.
Exactly.
Yeah, right here.
You're saying it.
Showing.
Not yet, they're working on it.
So hopefully it would make me change. You able to see that? Yes.
Shasta, the advisory board.
So now you can go to your archive. Where you are. Yeah, whoever you.
No, yeah.
No, you still have the arrow on, but okay.
Shasta Hamilton.
Oh,
I thought Shasta.
Did you, were you able to get?
So I've got one.
That's like,
You know, you did it. Okay. Are you able to get one?
I did, but nothing.
Your tasks. Oh, my.
Yeah.
So like we submit. Who else has not been able to submit one? We got you. You got your name, right? Just name, yep, not able to submit. Oh, yep. We know that, yep. I mean, just refreshed. She doesn't have any interest. For some reason, I have that.
Yeah. No open positions.
Anybody else not able to submit one?
And trying to organize those things. Yeah.
You paid me.
Yeah, so.
This is where the Chantel has security.
What's that? When you get here.
Chantel.
Oh, we just need to get them her name in my.
I never
say.
Oh, okay.
They're working, they're working for this. Yeah. They've been working on a couple of things as we go and hopefully get to. Like 2000.
Okay, was there one? Anyone else? I think that was everyone. That's everyone. Thank you for your patience while we figure that out. In real life, you would have an open position already. We just needed to create some big ones. All right, we are in our home stretch. We're almost done. Just. So in the real world, what's happening now? So you submitted your job requisition. It's now in the hiring office and they're posting the recs for you. So Catherine has been working on posting your job requisitions, which is great. But I do want to show you, I'm going to show you what that looks like, right? So again, this will all be done by the hiring offices, but I just want to show you, kind of what that process looks like so you know what they're doing. So here is, let's see, find mine. This one, yep, there we go. Okay, so here's the job that I want to post. So I see right away, again, I've got my hiring office hat on. I see my recruiting instruction post internally and externally. So I am going to select the BYU careers site and I'm going to select the internal site. We're going to talk about those in just a minute. So I'm posting this externally, I'm posting this internally. I can click preview job posting. And it's gonna show me what my job posting looks like. So notice that there are some things that populate based on the template, right? So there's a template. We didn't really see this on the job rec because it's just on the posting template. Why work at BYU? Here's where my job description would be. This is where I typed in, this is my job description. Comp range is pulling from the profile automatically. You've got just the general information. It's probably on your job postings already today, the staff employment office. So this is all the external posting. And then if I scroll down, the internal posting, which is looking the same, of course. All right, so I'm going to say, okay, that looks great. Here's where I put in my end date. So remember, we put in the title, the end date that we want them to use. Now, again, in the real world, I would go in and actually delete that date from the title. I am not doing that right now just for sake of time. But in the real world, you're not going to see job postings with dates out there on the website for everyone to see. So I'll go ahead and put in my posting end date. And that's it. I'm going to submit. And I mean, pretty instantly, that job's now posted. So it's out on the website. It's not really out on the website because again, we're in our training environment, but it'd be out on the website. We can start recruiting candidates. So I want to talk, we're just going to do a couple more slides and then we're going to apply as a candidate and we'll be done. Career sites. So my understanding is there used to be 11 career sites and now we've boiled them down to 6, which is great. BYU Careers, this is where staff, sports camps, and internal jobs will be posted. Faculty careers, of course, for our faculty roles. Student jobs are now internal only. So we will be able to know right away, or really only be able to give access to students to be able to apply for student jobs, which I think is a big win. There's the CE careers site, EFY jobs, and FSY jobs. So internal candidates, let me talk about external first. So this is what the external site will look like. We are all going to get into a fake external site, the actual one that's connected to our training environment. You'll actually get to go through the process of applying as a candidate. Internal sites. So again, another great feature of Workday. Everything's connected, right? Everything's all in one system. So internal candidates, existing employees at BYU should apply for jobs through the Careers Hub application in Workday. So under your menu, the application is Careers Hub or Jobs Hub, Careers Hub, I think. And you would see all of the internally posted jobs that you can apply for. Now, lots of reasons why you want to make sure to do this through Workday, but the primary reason is when you select the job you want to apply for, Workday is going to pull all of your candidate information or all of your application information from your worker profile. So you don't have to go through and put in your phone number and your email address and your home address and your job history and all of that. It's going to pull directly from Workday. You'll be able to review if there's anything you want to edit. But it really makes applying for a job internally seamless, right? It should take you 5 minutes or less versus going through all of the different fields within a typical job application. You can, of course, upload your resume and then submit your job application. So we want to make sure no employees are trying to apply for jobs externally through the website. We want to make sure all employees are applying for jobs internally through that Careers Hub application. Right. So again, I already kind of talked about this. External or non-BYU employees should apply through those external career sites. They'll be able to search for jobs. They'll have a candidate homepage. They're going to create an account. They'll create a username and password. They'll be able to apply for many jobs, right? They'll apply to one, and then if they want to use that same application, that same resume for another job, they can do that. And then, of course, internal candidates, we want to make sure that they apply internally. And then we're going to go through everything on the right is what we'll go through next week, actually moving that candidate along in the process. mentioned this, external, internal, of course, slightly different on how we want them to apply. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to access your job posting. So let me get back in as Harper HR. And we'll go ahead and have all of you just follow along with me on this one. Because what we're doing right now, this isn't necessarily something that you'll do all the time in the real world, right? What we're trying to do is we want you to have the experience of applying as an external candidate, partly because just great for everybody to know what the candidate experience is, but our selfish reason is so that you all have a candidate to then work with next week to move along in the process and hire. So to find your external posting, first we need to find our job requisition. So unless you remember your job rec number, which I don't expect you to because we didn't tell you to remember it, everyone can go to their My Tasks and go to your archive. So My Tasks and then archive. And in your archive, you should see the job rec that you just created. So mine is right here. It says job requisition JR345 training staff. I put my initials.
Do a different. Oh, yeah. I've been a course here. So. Yeah, so she's created one for me. Okay. So she.
Did you sign yourself as the primary recruiter? Or did you sign?
She did. Did you?
That's okay if you didn't put her, but if you signed yourself, you'll be fine next week.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Because I'll see you anyway, because then.
You'll see it, yep. You're the.
Yeah, yep, that's right. That's right, because I'm logged in. So, yeah.
On your, the archive or job record.
Yeah. Or you could go out and just.
Mine was a different position. Mine was office specialist.
Yeah, she didn't get that. She got some.
So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take that number and we're gonna type for it in the search bar. So take that job rec number. So I'm gonna type in JR, and then I'm gonna put in a colon. And then I think the one I was looking for was 345. That might be someone else's, but that's okay.
JR colon?
JR colon.
So
Dash will find it, but you'll have to hit more categories. If I type in colon, it's gonna pop up right away for me. You know how we said click more categories on the other side? So if you type in dash, you'll have to do that. This is like the fastest way to find it. Okay, once we all found that, you're gonna click on the blue hyperlink.
Okay.
So this is showing us information about our job rec. We have our pipeline here. We're gonna look at all of this recruiting tools, recruiting hub next week. So this is very exciting, but we just want to get to that external posting so we can apply as an external candidate. So now you're taking a step out of your own shoes. You're gonna become someone else, a fake candidate. You wouldn't do this as a normal BYU employee, but we're gonna become a fake candidate. So you're gonna go and click on this job postings tab up here.
Where were you?
Yeah. If you're not seeing job postings, we'll come make sure it's posted for you. Just give us 1 sec. Okay, job postings, and then you're gonna click on that blue external link. Oh. The change. Just need to change the primary. Okay. There you good for me. Okay, so you click on the blue external link, we're all there. Okay, so this is our external job BYU careers page. So you can take a look at this. This is what external candidates will see when they go to apply. So
Externally.
Oh, we don't write down.
So this
We
is
good?
be requires.
Yeah, okay. So now you're no longer yourself. You gotta think of a fake name for your fake candidate. So it could be your dog's name, a fake name, Fallystaff, whatever you want.
Now we don't.
Okay, we're gonna sign in. We're gonna create an account for our fake candidate. So you're gonna click this blue sign in button at the top. Okay, instead of filling out this, we wanna hit create account. Create account. Okay, this is where we're gonna create our fake candidate's account. You're gonna put in a fake email and a password, and you're gonna write them down and save them, bring them next week. Fake email, let's do @test.com, so we don't put in real emails. So it can be sallystaff@test.com. So it's not your email, it's a fake one, and that's gonna be the name of your fake candidate, and you're gonna apply as a fake candidate. We'll walk around and help you. Any questions about this before we kind of set you loose?
Fake email.
A fake email, a fake phone number, it's all gonna be fake. Yep. This is the important one where we just make sure we write it down, the email and password. That's how you're gonna log back in.
Yes.
No, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so this is our last activity. It's actually 1.11. There's all the instructions for it here. So we want you to apply, just a quick tip, you don't need to put in like your work experience, your skills. You don't need to sit here and spend a ton of time filling that in. You can fill in some if you like. You'll see it next week as a fake person, but you don't need to fill in an entire job application. You do have to answer all of the questions though.
Oh, you're good, you're good. Are you trying to go?
So now, so I did all of this.
Okay,
Right?
awesome.
That could be fun.
Any questions, raise your hand if you're not seeing it. I think we're gonna.